Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if banished Naruto finds inheritance in Ruby. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Snake57575 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Naruto, Sasuke. The two boys screamed the other's name as they lunged at each other from across the base of the waterfall, between them one with his hand in a claw-like motion sparking with black lighting the other palm flat, a purple spinning orb inches above his hand. Chidori, Rasengan. His eyes snapped open as he shot upright before breathing a sigh of relief seeing he was still in his home. The young man with medium-length black-tipped spiky sunny blonde hair looked around the cave he found himself in. A pair of pitch-black fox-like ears with white bone-like structures running down the side of them sat atop his head, twitching as he heard someone or something enter his cave. Quickly bringing up his pitch-black hood to cover his animal ears and white and red grim-like mask, he narrowed his eyes as a man came into view. I was expecting someone taller," muttered the man. "So sorry to disappoint," muttered the young hooded man. "So what can the monster of Vale do for you, Crow?" questioned the young man, making the now identified Crow look at him in mild surprise. "What, you're surprised? I know who you are and you've made many enemies. I was once contracted to assassinate you," said the black-haired blonde. "Why didn't you?" "From what I've heard, once you have a contract on someone they're as good as dead," questioned Crow. "I have my reasons," spoke the masked individual. A silence fell over the two of them. "Well then," spoke Crow, pulling out a flask which was full of booze from what the young masked man could smell. "I've been asked to find you by friends of mine. They wish to speak with you," said Crow after downing a mouthful of booze. "Fine, give me a few moments," said the young man. "I'll be outside then," said Crow, walking back out of the cave. The young blonde turned around and walked deeper into the cave where all of his weapons were, hundreds of kunai, shuriken, fumashurinen, and dust crystals, thousands of bullets, normal and dust-laced, and then several weapons either taken from fallen huntsmen and huntresses or of his own making. Pulling out a large scroll, the young man quickly went about taking everything and putting it on the scroll before he pulsed his chakra into the paper of the scroll, sealing all of the items on the scroll within it. All bar one of his weapons was sealed within the scroll. The remaining weapon was a wide broadsword with no guard. This weapon he strapped to his back, under which he strapped his large scroll. The blonde turned and left his cave and headed up to the surface, where he saw Crow, who was drinking again. "So where to?" asked the young man, making Crow turn to him, not hearing him walk up. "Beacon Academy," declared Crow, only for the young blonde to put a hand on his shoulder before the two vanished in a swirl of leaves. Beacon Academy. Crow and his young companion appeared a short walk from the main building of the academy. The blonde stood there nonchalantly waiting for Crow to recover. "What the hell was that?" yelled Crow, turning to the young man. "That was a Shunshin, Crow. Now where are we headed?" asked the blonde. "Follow me, brat," growled Crow, walking away from the young man, his hands in his pockets. The young man simply followed behind Crow. It was night, so no students were around to see them. Walking into the main tower of the building, Crow led the young blonde to an elevator. The two got in and Crow hit the button for the top floor. Within moments the elevator doors opened and the two stepped into the room. "It took a while, but I located him, Ozpin," said Crow to a silver-haired man sitting behind a desk. Next to the man stood a blonde woman holding a riding crop. "You could have sent him here and sent me a message, Crow," said the silver-haired man, evidently named Ozpin. "That was my plan, but the brat pulled some teleportation trick on me," said Crow. "Not teleportation, high-speed movement," declared the hooded young man. "Thank you for coming, Naruto." "That is your name, isn't it, Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha?" questioned Ozpin. "I don't know, does the monster of Remnant have a name?" questioned the blonde from under his hood. "Everyone has a name, even if they don't believe they need it," said the blonde woman. "It's not I don't believe I need it, Glynda Goodwitch. Demons and monsters don't deserve names, or at least that's what everyone tells me," said the young man, his voice sounding hollow. "I have asked my associate to track you down, Naruto, to bring you here, as I have heard of your skills and would hate to see them go to waste, so I asked you here to offer you a position here at Beacon," said Ozpin. "My skills don't need to be trained, and I don't want to become a huntsman," said Naruto. "Then what do you want?" "Everyone wants someone in this world, and I hate to see such a young man lost," said Ozpin. "I want what I can never have," said Naruto, standing up and turning to leave. "And that is?" questioned Ozpin. "Respect, friends, and a family," declared Naruto, shocking all three of the other people in the room. "What do you mean respect? Everyone in Vale respects you," questioned Crow. "Respect? No, everyone fears me, not respects me," spoke Naruto. "Why, I mean surely even in the underworld you must have some respect," questioned Glynda with a raised eyebrow. "No, even in the underworld I'm only treated with fear, not respect," declared the hooded blonde. "Why then?" questioned Glynda. "I'm a fawns," said Naruto, getting confused looks from everyone. "Why would that make everyone fear you? Fawns aren't treated that badly everywhere, and as much as I don't want to admit it, the White Fang would have welcomed you with open arms," said Glynda. "Oh, the White Fang, the extremist group that would never turn a fawns away. You're wrong, even they fear me," growled Naruto, turning back to Glynda. Ozpin and Crow, the three of them, could see glowing red eyes and glowing red lines under Naruto's hood. "Why would they fear you?" questioned Ozpin. "Because I'm a grim faunus," snarled Naruto, ripping off his hood, revealing his black fox-like ears and grim mask, shocking all three people in the room. Crow and Ozpin began to reach for their weapons. "QROW, Ozpin," yelled Glynda, making the men look at her, shaking her head. They let their hands drop. Naruto, please calm down, said Glynda. Naruto pulled his hood up again before looking at Ozpin, Glynda, and Crow. If people fear you, why don't you become a huntsman to become something they respect? Suggested the silver-haired man. No dice, Ozpin, I've tried something like that before, said Naruto, looking away from Ozpin, remembering his time as a ninja in Konohagakure. What's the harm in giving it one more go? Asked Ozpin, looking at Naruto with a raised brow. Getting stabbed in the back again, said Naruto once more in his hollow tone, making Glynda and Ozpin look at him sadly. Crow just shook his head before taking a swig of his drink. But seeing you're being so insistent, I'll bite on a couple of conditions, exclaimed Naruto. Name them, said Ozpin. You will not keep me in the dark. You are being insistent, and it's not because you don't want my skills to go to waste. You will tell me what you want me here for. Second, if I walk away from this, you don't follow. If I go, I'm gone. Third, my past is just that, my past. You don't ask me about it. I may tell you about it, but I may not. Fourth, I don't work with others picked for me. If I work with anyone, I will pick them, declared Naruto. Okay, we can agree to those terms. And you are right, there is more to this than we don't want your skills to go to waste, but for now we need to contact a few other people about this before we can tell you, and you need to rest. Tomorrow is the latest year's entrance exam which you shall join, said Ozpin. Naruto nodded. Glynda will show you to where you and your classmates are staying, said Ozpin once more, getting a nod from Naruto, who turned and walked to the elevator, Glynda following him. Once they stepped into the elevator, Glynda pushed the ground floor button. Are you sure about this, Ozpin? Questioned Crow. Honestly, Crow, no, but it's better to have him here than on their side, said Ozpin, getting a nod from Crow. Meanwhile, with Glynda and Naruto. You're not scared of me, spoke Naruto, making Glynda turn to him. No, said Glynda simply. Why? Asked Naruto. You have not shown any inclination to attack me, and Ozpin agreed to your terms, so I don't believe you will, and spoke Glynda, trailing off. And what? Questioned Naruto, looking at the older woman. And I feel, I don't know, safe? Around you, like you wouldn't hurt me, said Glynda, not entirely sure of what she was saying. As she finished what she was saying, the elevator doors opened. Well, it would be a shame to hurt such a beautiful woman, said Naruto with a grin as he stepped out of the elevators. His comment made Glynda stop dead in her tracks momentarily, as a slight dusting of pink spread across her cheeks. Come now, Mr. Uzumaki Uchiha, said Glynda, stepping out of the elevator and towards the hall. Please call me Naruto, said Naruto, smirking as he followed after the woman who stayed 2 steps ahead of him, leading him to the hall where his sensitive hearing could pick up on lots of chattering. The moment Glynda opened the door, the room went dead silent. Sorry to interrupt everyone, we've had a late arrival, said Glynda as Naruto walked into the room, making everyone look at him. Thank you, Glynda, spoke Naruto to the woman, who nodded and stepped out of the room, heading back towards Ozpin's office. Naruto ignored all of the looks he was getting and moved to an open area around a window where the moon was shining in. The room was silent for a moment before the chattering began again. As the talking began to die down, Naruto looked into the room, seeing people start to try and sleep. What the hell is going on over here? Don't you realize some of us are trying to sleep? Questioned a woman. Not you again, called the woman, and another woman. Sure guys, she's right, people are trying to sleep, spoke a third voice. Oh, so now you're on my side? Questioned the first woman snidely. I was always on your side, said the third woman. Will the 3 of you shut up, growled Naruto, looking back at the 3 women, who all jumped and turned to Naruto, who was glaring at all 3, a white-haired young lady, a blonde-haired woman, and a black and red-haired girl. The white-haired lady stalked over to Naruto. And who do you think you are? Questioned the white-haired girl. Someone who hates snobby heiresses and someone who is not afraid to hit a lady, said Naruto, narrowing his eyes at her. What are you doing here anyway? Aren't you too young to be attending this prestigious academy? Questioned the girl. Given I have more skill than everyone in this room combined and was tracked down by Professor Ozpin so he could personally ask me to attend here, I believe you have nothing to say, Shni, declared Naruto before he leant back, looking past Shni back over to the red-haired girl and blonde-haired woman, who was now joined by a shocked-looking black-haired lady. Nice to see you again, Blake, said Naruto in a blank tone, making the black-haired girl nervously wave at him. Hey, don't ignore me, snapped Shni. Naruto sat back up and flipped the girl the bird. Fuck you, bitch, I'll ignore you all I want. When you start acting like someone worth respecting, then I might listen to you, said Naruto, making her twitch with rage. Oh, is poor little baby princess mad? Asked Naruto, as if talking to a child, only for her to swing her hand around and attempt to slap Naruto in the face, only for him to grab her wrist. Try that again and I will break your wrist, princess, spoke Naruto, glaring at her. Now go away, you said you wanted sleep. Well, the room is quiet, said Naruto. She hummed before leaving the blonde and heading back to her sleeping bag, while Naruto simply looked back out of the window. The next morning, Naruto stood with the rest of the large group of people waiting on the edge of a cliff. I'm sure many of you have been hearing rumors about teams. Allow us to clear up any confusion, said Glynda from her position at the front of the group next to Ozpin. Each of you will be given teammates today, declared Glynda. These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon, so it is in your best interest to be paired with someone with whom you can work well, spoke Ozpin. That being said, the first person you make eye contact with after landing will be your partner for the next 4 years, declared Ozpin. What? Screamed the red and black-haired girl from the previous night. See, I told you, spoke an orange-haired girl to a black-haired man with a single pink-colored bang. Once you are teamed up, make your way to the northern end of the forest. You will meet opposition along the way. Do not hesitate to destroy everything in your path, or you will die. You will be monitored and graded for the duration of the initiation, but our instructors will not intervene. You will find an abandoned temple at the end of the path containing several relics. Each pair must choose one and return to the top of the cliff. You will guard that item along with your standing and be graded appropriately. Are there any questions? Spoke Ozpin. Yeah, sir? Spoke a blond man who looked about at home amongst the huntsmen, and huntress in training as a senju looked amongst a group of Uchiha. Good, now take your positions, spoke Ozpin. Everyone took their positions on the pad beneath their feet. Naruto once more heard the blond guy talking but tuned him out as he prepared himself to get launched into the forest. Naruto watched out of his peripheral vision as people got launched into the forest, and then in an instant he was flying through the air. Naruto simply enjoyed the wind as it rushed over his skin, kicking his hood off, although thankfully no one was nearby to see his ears and mask. Dropping to the ground, Naruto pushed chakra to his feet and cloaked his legs in aura as he smashed through trees and fell to the ground. The blonde landed on the ground in an animalistic crouch, pulling his huge blade off his back. His red eyes scanned the area. Finding nothing, the blonde ran from his position forwards. With Glynda and Ozpin. Naruto, just what have you been through? Thought Glynda watching Naruto as he ran through the forest. So how are the students doing? Asked Ozpin. He got no response. Glynda? Questioned Ozpin, snapping the woman out of his thought process, making her shake her head, making her glasses fall in an awkward way. Sorry, Professor Ozpin, what was that? Questioned Glynda, fixing her glasses. How are the students doing? Asked Ozpin. It seems we have already had 2 pairs form, one of Ruby Rose and Weiss Schnee, and Piran Nikos and John Arc, said Glynda. Are you okay? You've been in a mood since last night, questioned Ozpin. I'm fine, just a little distracted is all, spoke Glynda before going back to watching the students. With Naruto. The young blonde man now wandered through the forest. He was heading straight to the northern end of the forest, hoping that he didn't run into anyone. Like he had told Ozpin, he wouldn't work with anyone but the people he chose, and he hadn't had enough time to work everyone out. He had already seen a few people that might work with him, but no matter what, no one would ever get past the Grim Faunus. Everyone in Remnant loathed Grim. He once more would be hated for something out of his control. Well, Glynda maybe, but just because she doesn't fear me doesn't mean she doesn't hate me, muttered Naruto, looking down before he ran just a little bit faster. He wasn't having all that much trouble avoiding people as he could sense their auras. He was a chakra sensor, and being around people with auras so long, and even having his own, he was able to sense other people's aura. Naruto came to a screeching halt as he ran into a clearing and found it full of Grim. Now the worst part about people fearing him for being a Grim Faunus was that Grim wouldn't attack him, or he could control them. That wasn't true at all. He was less likely to be attacked by Grim, but they would still attack him. Naruto brought both hands to his sword hilt, which suddenly split, Naruto taking one half of the hilt in each hand as the one wide blade split into 2 regular-sized blades, which Naruto spun in his hands as the Grim turned to him. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, said Naruto to the variety of Grim who were all growling at him. Hard way it is, muttered Naruto. Naruto spun his blades in his hands before he shot forwards into the group of creeps. Naruto slid under one, running both of his blades along the underbelly of the creature, leaving 2 slices along it before the creature dissolved into a cloud of smoke, and Naruto was in the middle of 5 creeps, all of who charged at him simultaneously. Naruto quickly spun, tossing the blade from his right hand at a creep with enough force to break through the plating on its head, killing it while still in the spin. A blue orb of chakra formed in his now free hand. Rasengan, called Naruto as he slammed the orb into the head of a creep that had been sneaking up on him from behind, once more destroying the creature. Naruto quickly jumped towards his second blade, simultaneously avoiding a Grim attacking him and getting to his secondary blade, which he snatched but the hilt as he landed, before spinning backwards and slamming his other blade into the neck of another creep. Naruto dropped low and stabbed the creature in the underbelly as it jumped over the top of the now low Naruto. Naruto pushed off the ground, flipping backwards as a Beowulf slammed his claws into the ground where Naruto had just been standing. While upside down, Naruto hit 2 blades backwards, making the top halves of the weapons fold back and the bottom half of the hilts of both weapons bent forwards. Naruto took the weapons by these right-angled sections of the hilt, revealing the blades had transformed into a pair of guns. Pulling the triggers as fast as he could, he unloaded 2 clips of dust-infused ammo into 3 Beowulfs, leaving the Grim with spikes of ice on them, burning fur and lightning sparking between them before all 3 exploded in plumes of black smoke. Naruto landed on his feet, looking around the clearing to see only a pair of Ursa left. You 2 wanna go? Questioned Naruto, flicking his weapons again, making them turn back into the single-bladed forms. The 2 Ursa stopped for a moment before they roared and charged at Naruto. Fine, declared Naruto, sliding the end 2 hilts of his weapons together, and as he did the hilts doubled in length, creating a long pole weapon with 2 blades at the end each. Facing the opposite way, Naruto spun the weapon around in one hand while he held the other out in front of him, palm pointed towards the Ursa who charged at Naruto. The blonde simply jumped up over the 2 creatures as they ran at him, slamming his blade into the back of one of the Ursa, which did effectively nothing to the bear-like Grim. Naruto narrowed his eyes before jumping back from the 2 Ursa far enough that he could wedge his weapon into the ground, leaving his 2 hands free to perform hand signs for a jutsu Sasuke's memories had taught him, a jutsu that had made him infamous and feared around Remnant. Chidori, yelled Naruto as in an instant the clearing was filled with the sound of thousands of screaming birds as Naruto's hand became cloaked in lightning. His normal blood-red eyes gained 3 Tomo hat began rotating around his pupil as he lunged forwards towards the 2 Ursa before the creatures could blink. Naruto had closed the distance between them, spun around ducking low to avoid one of the strikes from the Ursa before slamming his sparking hand through the bottom of one of the Ursa's heads. The lightning sparked around the Ursa as it fell apart into a cloud of black smoke. However, the second Ursa went to swipe at Naruto, who had turned his back on the creature only for disintegrate as in an instant another Naruto leapt over the real one and stabbed a kunai into the gap in the Ursa's plating on the back of its neck. Naruto looked around the clearing at his handiwork. Seeing no other grim, Naruto walked over to his weapon, which he quickly disassembled, returning it to its one giant broadsword form, which he strapped to his back before walking out of the clearing calmly. With Ozpin and Glynda. It seems the rumors about Naruto's skills are not exaggerated, spoke Ozpin, looking the camera following Naruto on his scroll. It appears so, said Glynda, also watching Naruto. However, she watched him with sad eyes. I wonder what else he may be capable of, said Ozpin before he flipped to watching another pair of students as they walked through the forest. Glynda quickly flipped to the other view of the other students, but the image of Naruto tearing through the grim like paper stayed at the back of his mind. Why am I not scared of him? Questioned Glynda as she watched other students. Back with Naruto. The black-haired blonde walked through the forest, skillfully avoiding all of the other people in training and grim until he made it to the ruins. Walking up to the ruins, Naruto saw that atop pedestals were chess pieces both white and black. Rooks, knights, bishops, pawns, queens and kings. Naruto saw several pieces were already gone, meaning he wasn't the first to make it there. Ichiwa, yelled a loud voice from behind Naruto. What are you doing? Questioned Blake as quietly as possible. Naruto turned to see Blake and the blonde-haired woman from the previous night standing on a ridge overlooking the ruins. I'm just trying to be friendly, spoke the blonde woman to Blake, who looked frightened by Naruto. But not because of his grim fauna status. No, she was the one member of the White Fang that hadn't been scared of him when he went to join them. No, she was scared because he knew she had been part of the White Fang. The two girls walked down the hill to Naruto. Hi, I'm Yang, said the now identified Yang, holding out her hand for Naruto. Naruto, said the blonde, shaking Yang's hand. From last night, I take it you two already know each other, so spoke Yang, trailing off when she didn't know what to say. The trio stood in an awkward silence for a moment. So where's your partner? Asked Yang, looking around for someone who could be Naruto's partner. Don't have one, said Naruto simply. What, so everyone you've seen has already been partnered up? Questioned Yang. Well, given everyone I've seen is limited to you two, yeah, declared Naruto. Seriously, you got through that whole forest without seeing anyone? Questioned Yang. I saw about 10 grim, do they count? Asked Naruto. Came a scream from somewhere in the forest. Some girls in trouble, said Yang, looking around towards the origin of the scream. I'll keep your secret if you keep mine, whispered Naruto in a low tone as he passed Blake. Then your secret is safe with me, replied the secret faunus. Blake, Naruto, did you two hear that? Questioned Yang, looking back at the two. Blake was looking up at the sky while Naruto was making his way to the pedestals before taking a black queen. I would suggest you two pick your piece, shit's about to get hectic, said Naruto. How, why do you say that? Asked Yang. Screamed the voice of the black and red-haired girl from the previous evening. Looking up, they saw her and the blonde guy who had been asking questions at the beginning of the test collide mid-air, shooting into a tree. Did your sister just fall from the sky? Asked Blake, looking at Yang. Www, squealed another voice as a grim roared and an Ursa entered the clearing only to fall flat on its face. It's broken, spoke an orange-haired girl appearing from on the Ursa's back. Nora, please, don't ever do that again, spoke a distinctly male voice as a puffing black-haired boy emerged from behind the Ursa, only for him to look up and see the orange-haired girl gone. Oh, aha, I'm queen of the castle, sang the girl, grabbing a white rook chess piece. Nora, called the black-haired boy. Coming Rin, spoke the girl happily. Did that girl just ride in on an Ursa? Questioned Blake. Before anyone could even make a comment, the trees at the edge of the clearing crashed as a red-haired woman ran out into the open with a death stalker on her tail. John, yelled the woman, spotting the blonde guy in the tree. Pyrrha, called the now identified John. Whoa, spoke the black and red-haired girl, jumping out of the tree. Ruby, called John as the woman jumped out of the tree. Ruby? Questioned Yang as the now identified Ruby landed on the ground. Yang? Spoke Ruby, going to hug Yang. Nora, spoke the girl herself, appearing between Ruby and Yang. Did she just run all the way here with a death stalker on her tail? Questioned Blake, looking towards Pyrrha. I can't take it anymore, could everyone just chill out for 2 seconds before something crazy happens? Yelled Yang. Like that, everyone except Pyrrha stood still for exactly 2 seconds. Yang? Spoke Ruby, pointing up to Weiss, who was holding onto the talon of a Nevermore. How could you leave me? Came the echoed voice of Weiss. I said jump, mumbled Ruby. She's gonna fall, spoke Blake, looking up at the girl. She'll be fine, said Ruby with a dismissive wave of her hand. She's falling, spoke Rin in a deadpan tone. Sigh, well, there goes my cover, muttered Naruto, making everyone look back at him confused until a plume of smoke covered his hand. Once it cleared, it revealed a feather? Questioned Ruby, looking at the black feather in the stranger's hand. only for Naruto to crush the feather in his hand. Everyone looked at him confused when he jumped from the ground to the top of a ruined pillar before jumping to another taller pillar before jumping into the air. However, what happened next shocked everyone, including the staff watching. A pair of Nevermore wings sprouted out of Naruto's back from under his cloak. Flapping his wings, Naruto flew up into the air, catching Weiss as she fell. "What the?" questioned the white-haired girl as she was caught by Naruto, who simply ignored the comment and dropped down to catch John as he jumped out of the tree, probably aiming to catch Weiss. Naruto caught the man by the hood before he dropped to the ground. Putting the Schnee heiress and the blonde knight down, he turned to see all of the others looking at him shocked. The blonde turned around and flared his wings out. "Wait," called Ruby, but it was too late. Naruto took off, flying away from the group of people back towards the beginning cliff. Just before Naruto was far enough away, he heard a yell. Ruby yelled Yang. Naruto looked back and saw Ruby running towards the Death Stalker, only to hit it and bounce back. "Damn my compassion," muttered Naruto as he shot back towards the now running girl. Just as the Nevermore flicked its wings, sending feathers raining down on the ground where Ruby was running, one feather hit her cape, pinning her to the ground. "Ruby, get out of there," yelled Yang as Ruby struggled to get her cape out from the feather as the Death Stalker drew closer to the girl. "Damn it," growled Naruto again as he pumped chakra to his eyes as he glared at the Death Stalker. A Mantarasu spoke. Naruto. Black flames appeared on the back of the giant scorpion grim, making it screech in pain. Naruto ripped his giant blade off his back before dropping down, stabbing the weapon through the head of the Death Stalker. Just as Weiss shot forwards to stop it from attacking Ruby, only to stop as Naruto dropped onto the Death Stalker, his huge blade piercing the hardened plating of the Death Stalker. "Go, you lot," yelled Naruto, looking back at the four pairs at the ruined temple. Naruto yelled Yang. "There'll be time for you all to call me a freak later, Gyo," ordered Naruto. The 8 people nervously looked between themselves before nodding, and the pairs that had yet to pick their pieces grabbed a random piece, and then they all ran as Naruto flew back up into the air, floating about the height of the Nevermore. "Come and get me, you fucking chicken," yelled Naruto towards the Nevermore, holding his broadsword in his hand ready to attack the creature. As the Nevermore turned around and began to fly back towards Naruto, he reached into a pouch attached to his belt and pulled out a pair of crystals, one yellow and the other red, which he quickly slammed into the bottom of the hilt of his broadsword, one on each side of the split, and like that the half of the blade erupted in a storm of sparks while the other became covered in a plume of fire. "This is the end for you, fucking Nevermore," yelled Naruto, flying towards the grim. Several hours later, all of the passing students stood at the front of the auditorium with the entire student body of Beacon behind them, and the teachers scattered around. "John Arc, Lyrin, Piranikos, Nora Valkyrie, you 4 retrieved the white rook pieces from this day forth. You will work together as Team JNPR," said Ozpin, getting a round of applause from the audience. Nora giggled and hugged Ren. "Led by John Arc," called Ozpin. "Lead by?" questioned John, shocked. "Congratulations, young man," spoke Ozpin with a smirk, as Pira punched John in the arm playfully but still knocking him over. "Blake Belladonna, Ruby Rose, Weiss Schnee, and Yang Xiaolong, you 4 retrieved the white knight pieces. Henceforth you shall be Team RWBY, spoke Ozpin with a smile. "Led by Ruby Rose," called Ozpin. "I'm so proud of you," called Yang as she hugged her little sister. "And finally, Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, you retrieved the Black Queen piece. You form your own team, Team BNI, Ebony," said Ozpin, only to get loud boos from the crowd. "Go to hell and die, freak," yelled someone from the back. Apparently video of his test had got out and people had all, like everyone else in Remnant, labeled him a freak. Naruto looked down sadly, until he heard clapping. Looking down to the clapping, he saw Team RWBY, JNPR and Glynda all clapping. Naruto was at first shocked but then just smiled a very small smile before walking off the stage. "Good job out there, Naruto," said Glynda, putting a hand on his shoulder. "Thanks, Glynda," said Naruto with a half-hearted smile. "With all of that, everyone is dismissed," said Ozpin, letting the large room empty out. Naruto stood there looking at the ground. "Nice job, Team EBNI," spoke Yang, slapping Naruto on his back. He turned to her and smiled a very small smile. "Thanks, Yang," said Naruto with a smile. Naruto," spoke Weiss, fidgeting enviously, standing next to the young blonde. "Yeah, Weiss?" questioned Naruto, his head lazily rolling to the side looking at her. Thank you for saving me," said Weiss, nervously. "No problem," muttered Naruto, turning around looking away from the 8 people. "Naruto," called Ozpin, making the blonde look up to the man who was waving his hand in a come here motion. "See you later," said Naruto, walking over to Ozpin and Glynda, who lead him out of the room. "You performed very well out there, Mr. Uzumaki Uchiha," said Ozpin. Naruto didn't say anything, he just kept walking as the 3 walked towards the elevator up to Ozpin's office. As they stepped into the elevator, Ozpin hit a chain of buttons, and the elevator went down. "Naruto, when you were growing up, what was your favorite fairy tale?" asked Ozpin. "I didn't have one, I'm an orphan, and well, you just saw my reception to the general populace," said Naruto, making both Ozpin and Glynda wince, realizing they probably touched on a bad memory or 10. "Well, what do you know of the story of the 4 maidens?" asked Ozpin. "Quite a bit, and if you're going to tell me that it's true, you can stop right there. I already know," said Naruto, shocking both other occupants of the elevator. "How do you know?" asked Glynda. "I've met one, she was nice. Possibly the first person to see me as normal, or at least that's what I thought until she abandoned me. We were staying together, she left one day and never came back," said Naruto, looking down just as the elevator doors opened up. The 3 people began walking down a huge hallway. "Well, one of your conditions last night was that you wanted to know why you are here," The truth is one of the maidens was attacked, said Ozpin. And what you think I did it? Asked Naruto. No we don't, she was attacked and somehow part of her maiden powers were stolen, spoke Ozpin. That still doesn't answer why I am here, said Naruto looking at the man. We would rather have you on our side rather than whoever their side is, said Glynda. So I'm here as a precaution, great, muttered Naruto annoyed. Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha I introduced to you, spoke Ozpin interrupted by Naruto. Amber, spoke Naruto in shock upon seeing the woman he hadn't seen in at least 3 years. The blonde moved quickly forwards to the pod that the girl was within. Is she alive? Asked Naruto looking back at Glynda and Ozpin who both wore regretful looks, Glynda not even looking at him. No she can't be, said Naruto. Unfortunately Mr. Uzumaki Uchiha she is, spoke Ozpin looking down. Amber, wailed Naruto dropping to his knees, tears streaming down his face as he looked at his first true friend in Remnant. He was filled with regret. He had said before she had left that he should have gone with her, but she assured him she would be fine. Glynda couldn't just watch as Naruto cried. She moved forwards, wrapping her arms around him, trying to comfort him as he grieved over the friend he thought had abandoned him. Hey, are you okay? Questioned a voice. Naruto opened his eyes and came face to face with a brown-haired, brown-eyed tan woman. I think so, spoke Naruto, sitting up only for his head to start spinning. Shaking his head he looked at the woman. I'm Amber, what's your name? Asked the now identified Amber. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. No wait no, I'm Sasuke Uchiha. No, that doesn't sound right. Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, spoke Naruto looking down in confusion. Okay, Naruto Uzumaki or Sasuke Uchiha, can you tell me what you are doing out here all on your own? Questioned Amber looking at the black-haired blonde. I was trying to save my friend from a bad person, or was I trying to obtain power to avenge my clan? Thought Naruto aloud, looking around trying to remember, unknowingly getting a raised eyebrow from Amber. Are you a member of the White Fang? Questioned Amber looking at Naruto while holding her staff at the ready to attack him. The what now? Questioned Naruto, having no idea what she was talking about. So that's a no. Okay, let's get you out of here, it's not safe with all these Grimm around, said Amber stepping up to Naruto. The what's? Asked Naruto as Amber reached out to help him up. However, as soon as she touched him her mind was flooded with memories not her own. She and Naruto both fell back, clutching their heads. I see you're two people fused into one, that's why you seem so scatterbrained, said Amber wincing as she stood back up and pulled Naruto up, pulling an arm over herself. Alright, let's go, said Amber quickly, walking with Naruto towards a nearby town. Several days later, Naruto had been resting the last couple of days while he recovered. As Amber walked into the room Naruto she had offered him while he recovered, he sat up looking at her. So Naruto Sasuke, can you tell me where you are from? I'm sure your friends must be worried by now? Questioned Amber. I'm from Konohagakure, said Naruto with a grin, making Amber look at him strangely. I haven't heard of that village, what country is it in? Questioned Amber looking at Naruto with a raised brow. The Land of Fire, said Naruto nodding as he did. Amber hummed before walking out of the room, making Naruto tilt his head in confusion. Amber returned a moment later with a large piece of paper. Can you point out your home on this map? Asked Amber, handing Naruto the map, only for his face to fall when he saw it. How, this is a joke, right? Questioned Naruto with a smile looking at Amber, who looked confused. What do you mean? Asked Amber. This isn't a map of the world, this is just some random drawing, right? Questioned Naruto, his smile falling as he looked at Amber, who wasn't smiling. No, that is a map of the world, said Amber. And no, it's not, this isn't funny, Amber-chan, said Naruto with a hollow laugh. I'm sorry Naruto, I really am, said Amber stepping forwards. Quit joking around. How could your world map and the one I know not be the same? Questioned Naruto desperately, still hoping that this was some sick joke. I don't know, I have no idea what's going on, said Amber sitting down next to Naruto. But this is the world map, you are not in the Land of Fire, you are in Vale, said Amber looking Naruto dead in the eyes, making him look down sadly as tears began to form in his eyes. All of my friends, Sakura-chan, Kakashi-sensei, Ero-san and Bachan, muttered Naruto looking down crying. Naruto, Sasuke, spoke Amber sadly as she pulled the crying boy into a hug, only for his floodgates to break and tears begun pouring out like waterfalls under his mask. Naruto wailed in anguish as he thought about his friends. Amber just hugged the boy tightly, hoping to offer any support she could. After about 10 minutes the crying Naruto's cries slowed to a stop. As Amber pulled back she saw that Naruto was asleep again, or at least that's what Amber thought, she couldn't tell with the mask. I hope you can get over this, Naruto Sasuke, muttered Amber, laying the boy back down. As he was laid down Amber reached for his mask with both hands. As she attempted to pull it off he grimaced in his sleep and his head came up with the mask. And no way the mask is part of him? Then that means, spoke Amber looking down at him with wide eyes. It was then she noticed the white grim like plating on his what she had assumed were fox ears. She stood up looking at the boy in front of her. No, he's not a grim, he is a faunus, decided Amber with a nod before walking out of the room. Several days later, Naruto had recovered enough that Amber had let him be up and about. He was still searching the memories in his head, raking through all of them looking for why he wasn't in the elemental nations anymore, but nothing was forthcoming. Naruto had asked Amber about the mask on his face. She had told him that it was stuck and it hurt when he tried to pull it off, so he had stopped trying after a while. Now Naruto was just sitting in Amber's garden somewhat annoyed. She, despite letting him know he was allowed to be up and about, she had forbid him from leaving her property just to be safe. While he learned about where he was, Naruto sighed. Amber had been gone for a while, so he was on his own. Deciding it wouldn't hurt to go for a short walk, Naruto got up and walked out of the yard and walked into the forest. Following the trail that wound its way through the tree line, Naruto took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. Naruto stopped when he heard growling. Looking around, he found just barely out of the trees was a dog-like creature. He was about Akamaru's size. His coat was black, but he had some white plate-like sections on his back. Also out of his back were what looked like bones sticking out. The white plating covered his face except for the eyes, which were a bright orange. "Hey there, little guy," said Naruto with a smile, stepping closer to the creature, who backed up and growled at Naruto. Hey, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm not going to hurt you, spoke Naruto as he sat down in front of the creature, holding his hand out to the dog-like thing, who slowly walked up to his hand, sniffing it. Naruto gently reached out and scratched the creature on the side of the face, making it growl in happiness before walking over to him and rubbing up against him. "Come on, little buddy, let's go for a walk," said Naruto, picking up the little dog-like creature and putting him on his head, where he barked happily and wagged his tail. Naruto then walked on, continued following the trail. Eventually found a village. Smiling happily, Naruto whistled as he walked into the town. Walking along the streets, he looked around only to see he was getting glares. He moved a little faster. After a few seconds, a whole crowd of people surrounded him. "What's going on?" questioned Naruto, turning around looking at all of the glares he was getting. "You're not welcome here, White Fang," spoke a man with what appeared to be small deer antlers at the top of his head. Before Naruto could question what White Fang was, someone else spoke up. "That's a Grim on his head. The White Fang have learned to control Grim. Kill him," yelled a man hysterically. Naruto looked around in a panic as people began to close in on him. That was until he felt something hit him in the forehead and he blacked out. Some time later, Naruto came to, standing up, looking around. A look of horror spread out across his features. "What happened here?" questioned Naruto, looking around at the blood-splattered remains of the village. Looking down at himself, Naruto found he was covered in blood and his hands looked more like claws than anything else. "And Naruto?" spoke a familiar voice. "Amber, it's not what it looks like." I spoke Naruto, looking up at the horrified look on Amber's face before he turned around and ran into the forest. "Naruto, wait," called Amber. "Can't sleep, Naruto?" spoke a voice, drawing Naruto out of his memory. "Dream end." "No, not with Amber down there," spoke Naruto, not even turning to face Glynda. "If you don't mind me asking, how did you two meet?" questioned Glynda. "I know you said your past is your past, I'm just curious," said Glynda. "Sigh, she was the one who found me," said Naruto. "Found you? Were you abandoned as a baby?" questioned Glynda, unbelieving. "No, I wasn't. You probably won't believe me, but I'm not from here," said Naruto, looking down. "What, not from Vale?" questioned Glynda. "No, not from Remnant. I'm from a place called the Elemental Nations," said Naruto, looking out at the stars and the broken moon. "I've never heard of the Elemental Nations," said Glynda, tilting her head in confusion. "Not surprising, it's not in this dimension," declared Naruto, making Glynda look at his back with a raised eyebrow. "I told you, you wouldn't believe me," said Naruto, a half-hearted smile, looking down at the grounds of Beacon. "Well, you did just tell me you're from a different dimension. It is kind of hard to believe," spoke Glynda. "Why is it so hard? You know about the maidens who have amazing powers without the use of dust or semblance. You know me as a Grim Faunus and all of my strange abilities. What's to say I'm not from a different dimension?" questioned Naruto. "But you have aura, you're a Faunus," said Glynda. "And a semblance. But those are just side effects of my dimension travel," declared Naruto. "I don't know, I want to believe you, I really do, but it sounds a little far-fetched," said Glynda. "You said you want to believe me, I can show you proof, but you have to trust me," spoke Naruto, looking at Glynda. I trust you," said Glynda. "Step forwards and look into my eye," said Naruto as his red eyes spun, creating 3 intersecting ellipses. Glynda looked at his eyes, confused. "Tsukuyomi," muttered Naruto, looking at Glynda. Both of their worlds went red and black as they descended into the world of Tsukuyomi. The two found themselves standing on a black lake, looking up into a red sky and a white moon. "What's going on, Naruto?" questioned Glynda, looking around scared. "Trust me, I won't let anything happen to you here," declared Naruto. Glynda took a deep breath to calm herself before nodding to Naruto, who closed his eyes in an almost painful manner before looking away from her. "Naruto?" questioned Glynda. "Sorry, I'm just trying to work out whose memories to show," said Naruto, making Glynda look at him strangely, but before she could comment on it, the world around them shifted. Real world seconds later. As the two returned from the world of Tsukuyomi, Glynda took a sharp breath as she fell back onto the ground. Those were your memories?" questioned Glynda, getting a nod from Naruto. Those monsters, how could they do that to a child?" questioned Glynda, looking up at Naruto as if asking him for the answer. "They were scared," said Naruto, looking down. "Scared? That's no excuse, Naruto. I saw skin peeled from your body with a rusty blade. I saw people stabbing you in the lungs. I can't even bring myself to say it. Being scared does not justify that kind of attack," declared Glynda, looking at him sternly. "How many attacks like that happened to you?" questioned Glynda. "A couple," muttered Naruto, looking down. "Naruto," yelled Glynda. "Many," whispered Naruto. "Please, Naruto," spoke Glynda, stepping up to him. The black-haired blonde didn't look up. "Please, Naruto, tell me," whispered Glynda, placing her hand on his cheek. Naruto looked up into Glynda's pleading eyes. "Nearly every day for 8 years, said Naruto, looking down. "Oh, Naruto, you poor child," spoke Glynda, tears forming in her eyes as she wrapped her arms around him, making him go rigid. For a moment before he relaxed into the woman's embrace, before he wrapped his arms around her, letting her cry for him for a moment. You said you were working out whose memories to show me. What did you mean by that? Questioned Glynda. The way I came to this dimension is by two people attacking each other with powers not their own, and these two powers ripped a hole in the dimensional walls, and also from these two attacks merged two people together. The two people merged by the attacks were Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, said Naruto. You're two merged people? Questioned Glynda, getting a nod from Naruto. And I was working out which set of memories to show you, said Naruto. Please tell me they don't get worse, spoke Glynda in fear. No, I showed you the worst of them. I've showed you my lowest point. I've shown you my darkness, declared Naruto. Why? Why show me Naruto's memories and not Sasuke's? Asked Glynda. Just as you feel safe around me, I feel safe enough around you to show you who I am, spoke Naruto with a level of certainty, looking at Glynda. The two stood there in each other's arms, looking deeply into each other's eyes. Glynda, murmured Naruto. Naruto, whispered Glynda as the two drifted closer and closer until their lips met. However, after only a few seconds, Glynda's eyes went wide and she pushed Naruto back. Naruto, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I have to go, spoke Glynda, blushing, turning and quickly walking away. Glynda, wait, called Naruto. However, the blonde woman didn't stop. She kept moving, leaving Naruto alone on the roof. Looking down, he sighed and looked out at the sky. What I can never have, muttered Naruto with a sad look in his eyes. The next day, Naruto sat in Professor Port's class. He was bored as hell. The old man was simply telling stories of his own experience as a huntsman and the traits that status holds. Is there anyone here who thinks they embody these qualities? Questioned Professor Port. I do, sir, declared Weiss. Well, then we shall see. Step forwards and face your opponent, said Professor Port. Weiss quickly left the room to change into her battle gear, returning a moment later, where she walked to the front of the room and held her weapon at the ready. Go, Weiss, yelled Young. Fight well, encouraged Blake. Yeah, represent Team RWBY, spoke Ruby with excitement. Ruby, I'm trying to focus, scolded Weiss. Oh, sorry, spoke Ruby nervously. All right, let the match begin, called Professor Port, slicing the lock off the cage with his blunderbuss axe. Naruto watched on in vague interest as a Borbatusk ran out of the cage at Weiss, who attacked it with her rapier before dodging around it as her attack did nothing to the creature. Haha, weren't expecting that, were you? Questioned Professor Port. Hang in there, Weiss, encouraged Ruby, as Weiss once more lunged at the Grim, only for it to turn slightly as Weiss attacked, locking her rapier between its tusks. Come on, Weiss, show it who's boss, spoke Ruby, making Weiss look at her just before the Borbatusk pushed Weiss back and flung her weapon halfway across the room. Oh ho, what will you do now without your weapon? Questioned Professor Port. Weiss jumped out of the way as the Grim charged her before running to her weapon. Weiss, go for its belly, there's no armor under, spoke Ruby, interrupted by Weiss. Stop telling me what to do, yelled Weiss. It was at that moment Naruto pushed himself over his desk, jumping down to the front landing between the charging Grim and Weiss. Mr. Uzumaki Uchiha, spoke Professor Port. No, you can wait a moment, declared Naruto, looking to the professor before glaring at the charging Grim. Naruto yanked Weiss's weapon out of her hands. Hey! Spoke Weiss as Naruto stole her weapon and threw it straight at the head of the Grim, piercing it, making the Grim dissolve to ashes. I've only known you 2 days, princess, and I'm already sick of your shit, said Naruto, turning to glare at Weiss, who shrunk under his gaze. Ruby is your team's captain, not you. Get over it. You think you're so perfect, you're not. You think because you are the Shnee heiress that affords you more respect than any others, you're wrong. In the field, titles mean nothing, and you need to stop acting like a prat, said Naruto, glaring at Weiss, who couldn't look him in the eyes. And before you say I have no idea what it's like on a team, I know more than you ever will, especially about disunity among teams, given that's why all of my teammates are dead, said Naruto, shocking everyone in the room, especially Weiss, who went wide-eyed as she looked at Naruto. You don't have to respect Ruby as a person, but you do have to respect her as a leader because she is your leader, spoke Naruto. Weiss nodded ever so slightly. Naruto closed his eyes. If you'll excuse me, I need to go and destroy something, declared Naruto as he vanished in a swirl of leaves. What am I? Questioned Naruto, shaking as he looked down at his bloody claws as he sat in a tree. Naruto, come back, called the voice of Amber. Naruto looked down, seeing the girl running through the forest under him. Naruto watched as she ran under him and further into the forest. I can't be around her, said Naruto, making sure she was gone before he dropped to the forest floor and began to quickly make his way towards the edge of the forest, only for a gust of wind to launch him into the air, launching him out of the forest and out into the open street. Naruto, having flipped midair, saw Amber behind him with a staff in hand. Her staff had 2 crystals attached to the ends. The end pointed towards him was a white crystal, while the other had a red crystal. He jumped up and was about to run when another gust launched him back towards her. Naruto, stop, said Amber as he landed on the ground and was once more about to run, if not for her grabbing onto him. Let me go, Amber, I don't want to hurt you, said Naruto. You won't, Naruto, just stop, spoke Amber. Please let me go, pleaded Naruto. You said what happened there wasn't what it looked like, tell me what happened, said Amber, firmly looking at the boy. I don't know. I was walking through the village when a bunch of people crowded around me and told me I wasn't welcome there, and called me White Fang when someone yelled out, calling this awesome little dog I found a Grim, and then told the group to kill me. The last thing I can remember is hearing a loud bang and a pain on my forehead, and I blacked out, said Naruto. So they thought he was White Fang, wait, dog? In the forest? Thought Amber to herself. What did this dog look like? Asked Amber with a raised eyebrow. It was black, white plating on it as well as some white spikes sticking out of his back and red eyes, said Naruto. So he can control Grim, thought Amber to herself in a small amount of shock. Come on Naruto, let's go home, said Amber with a smile to Naruto, who looked at her shocked. You saw what happened there. I can't be around people, said Naruto. Neither can I, Naruto. People can't know what I am, and I am strong enough to stop you if you go out of control, said Amber, making Naruto look at her to see a sad smile on her face. Neither of us can be around people, we have to be alone. Let's be alone together, Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, said Amber with a pleading smile. Alright, said Naruto with a grin. And I like that name, it has a nice ring to it, declared Naruto with a nod. A month later, Naruto sat outside his and Amber's new house. The two had been living together for a month, and during that time Amber had been teaching him about Remnant and Veil, including Grim, Huntsman, Huntresses, White Fang, Dust, and even the weapons. For the time being, Naruto had been given a katana with a fire dust crystal attached to the blade until they could forge him his own weapon. Despite all of the time learning about Remnant, Naruto had time to practice all of the ninja techniques that both Sasuke and Naruto knew, practicing the Rasengan, Chidori, and Katan Gokaki no Jutsu, fire-style fireball jutsu, to the point he could use them all. Also, digging through Sasuke's memories, he had learned he had Mangekyo Sharingan, which he had begun to train with. Naruto instantly reached for his weapon when he heard someone approach the house, but when he looked up he stopped dead in his tracks. Kakashi-sensei? Sakura-chan? Questioned Naruto, looking at the two people who walked out of the tree line. Hey there Naruto, how's things? Questioned Kakashi with an eye smile. I can't believe it, it's so good to see you, said Naruto with a smile. Where's Sasuke-kun, is he with you? Questioned Sakura, looking around for her ebony-haired crush. Ha ha ha, funny story, you see he and I have sort of fused. I am Sasuke and I am Naruto, said Naruto with a nervous laugh. Good one Naruto, now's not the time for jokes. Where's Sasuke? We need to get back to the village, said Kakashi. I swear I'm telling the truth, he and I have merged, we are one and the same, said Naruto. Sakura narrowed her eyes at the fused blonde. Then tell us something only Sasuke-kun would know, ordered Sakura. Spoke Naruto, trying to think of something. You killed him, didn't you? You killed my Sasuke-kun hoping that I would accept you affections with him gone, said Sakura, tears forming in her eyes. Sakura-chan, said Naruto. Don't call me that, screamed Sakura, running at Naruto. I'll avenge you, Sasuke-kun, spoke Sakura as she lunged at Naruto, who covered his face, holding a hand out, unintentionally channeling chakra to it. With his eyes shut, Naruto winced as he heard a sickening squelch sound. Opening his eyes, Naruto looked at the destroyed face of his former crush. Sakura-chan, mumbled Naruto in horror as he looked down at her form eviscerated by what looked like spirals. Did I just use the Rasengan on her? Questioned Naruto, looking at his hand. Naruto Uzumaki, for attacking a fellow Konoha ninja I place you under arrest, and by order of the Godame Hokage you are returned to Konoha, said Kakashi, narrowing his one good eye at Kakashi. Naruto snapped his head up to look at his sensei before turning to the house behind him, and shaking his head. Sorry sensei, I'm not going back to Konoha. Tell Bachan I'm happy here, said Naruto with a smile. I wasn't asking Genin, said Kakashi, narrowing his eye as he dropped into a fighting stance. Sensei? Questioned Naruto, only to be launched backwards as Kakashi slammed his fist into Naruto's face, launching him backwards. Naruto looked at his sensei, shocked only to see the man glaring at him. It was at this point Naruto sighed. There was only one way out of this situation. I'm sorry about this, sensei, spoke Naruto, pulling his katana off his back. You couldn't beat me when you graduated, Naruto. What make you think that's changed? Questioned Kakashi, almost feeling the need to laugh. This, declared Naruto, pointing the katana at Kakashi, and to his shock flame poured out of the blade at him. Kakashi jumped out of the way of the attack and went to lift his headband, only for Naruto to thrust his katana at Kakashi, who jumped backwards into a tree. Sorry sensei, declared Naruto, running forwards, flipping through hand signs as he did, and by the time he reached Kakashi his hand had erupted in a storm of sparks and screeching of thousands of birds before he rammed his hand through Kakashi's chest. Kakashi's one eye went wide, until he was engulfed in smoke and gone in a plume of smoke, leaving a log with a hole in it. So you weren't lying, you two have merged, said Kakashi from behind Naruto. That's what I was saying, said Naruto, turning to face Kakashi, who stood in a tree, headband up, looking down at Naruto. This changes nothing, you're coming back to Konoha whether you want to or not, declared Kakashi, narrowing his eyes at Naruto, who sighed. Kakashi used this moment to jump from the tree with a kunai in hand, attempting to slice at his merged students. Naruto quickly pulled his katana up, using the middle of the blade block Kakashi's strike. Kakashi pushed down on his student's blade, trying to snap the weapon or make Naruto flinch. The blonde himself then spun the blade around, flicking Kakashi's kunai away. Naruto then went to lunge at his sensei and stab him in the chest, only for Kakashi to move to the side of the blade and grab Naruto by the wrist. You're 200 years too young to challenge me, declared Kakashi with a smirk. No, I'm just smart enough to use your own arrogance against you, sensei, said Naruto, making Kakashi narrow his eyes. Amaterasu, declared Naruto, kicking Kakashi backwards as he was engulfed in black flames and began screaming in pain. Thank you for everything, sensei, said Naruto, looking down, stepping back as Kakashi fell down. Naruto, what's going on? Questioned Amber, stepping out of the house. People from my old village looking for me and Sasuke, said Naruto, looking down. What happened? Questioned Amber, looking around. She attacked me not believing I'm Sasuke, and he attacked me trying to take me back to Konoha, said Naruto, pointing to the remains of Sakura, then the ashes of Kakashi. Why didn't you go? I thought you loved your village, questioned Amber. Hey, quit it, called a voice. Dream end. Naruto shook his head as he looked up from his almost untouched breakfast. A week had passed since the beginning of his time at Beacon, a few days since the incident in Professor Port's class. Naruto shook his head before looking over to the origin of the voice, and his eyes narrowed as he saw Carden pulling on a rabbit faunus's ear. Naruto snarled he was sick of Carden. He was one of the most vocal people about calling Naruto a freak, and Team Ciardel's leader had been, as it turned out, blackmailing John for the past week, that information only reaching Naruto's ears after John had saved Carden from an Ursa. Carden sat with his team teasing a random rabbit faunus. Just because John had saved him yesterday didn't let everyone off. What's the matter, faunus? Your special ear's hurting? Questioned Sky with a laugh as his team captain held the faunus's ears. Let go or I will snap your wrist, declared a voice from next to Carden. The 4 members of Team Ciardel turned to see the freak of Beacon, Naruto of Team EBNI, there with his hand wrapped around Carden's wrist. We were just having a little fun, freak, spoke Russell as Carden let go of the rabbit faunus's ear. Fun? Hey, okay, I'll show you fun. Combat training today, me against all 4 of you, declared Naruto. For real? You think you can take all 4 of us? You're on grim, boy, said Carden with a grin. Naruto put his hand on the brown-haired girl's shoulder as the two turned to leave. Good, I will enjoy kicking you asses from here to Atlas and back again, declared Naruto as he moved with the rabbit girl towards her team's table. Are you crazy, Naruto? You just challenged a whole team? Questioned the woman. Calm down, sorry I never got your name, muttered Naruto, shaking his head trying to work out the girl's name. Velvet Scarlatina, said the girl. Well, Velvet, you keep your pretty bunny ears out for shocking news later today, and I'm sure what you hear will surprise you, said Naruto, poking her bunny ear before moving away from her back towards his table. Velvet, what was that about? Questioned a voice from next to her. Oh, Coco, Naruto got angry at Carden and challenged Team Ciardel to a fight in combat training today, said Velvet, making Coco's eyebrow raise. Did he now? Questioned Coco, watching Naruto's retreating form in mild interest. Several hours later, Naruto stood with the rest of his class in the arena. In front of all of them stood Glynda, who Naruto had yet to have a full conversation with outside of class of meeting with Ozpin since their kiss on the roof. She was avoiding him, and he couldn't look her in the eyes. Is there anyone who would care to start us off today? Asked Glynda, looking at the class. I have already challenged Team Ciardel, which they accepted, spoke Naruto, getting a raised eyebrow from Glynda, shocked looks from some of the class and interested looks from others. Not the most conventional of matches, Mr. Uzumaki Uchiha, but as they have accepted it shall be allowed. Gather whatever you need, you 5, said Glynda. All 5 people walked out of the room. By the time Team Ciardel and EBNI had returned, everyone else in the class had moved up to the viewing area to watch the match. Go Naruto, kick their asses, called Ruby. Naruto, to everyone's confusion, had changed footwear. Where before he had just regular sneakers, he now had boots with metal plating on the toe and the shin, while on his back was break blade. Then on Naruto's belt were 2 rectangular things that looked like 2 ammo clips attached together. Are both teams ready? Asked Glynda, the only other person on the arena floor. Yes, declared Carden, glaring at Naruto, who nodded to Glynda. Then begin, called Glynda, stepping away as the 4 members of Team Ciardel moved to surround Naruto. Now, called Carden, signaling his teammates to charge at Naruto, the leader himself leading the charge at Naruto, whose side. If that's the best you got, then you might as well give, declared Naruto as the 4 people closed in on him. Growling, the 4 young men ran at Naruto faster. Naruto jumped up high into the air just as the members of Team Ciardel went to attack him. To everyone's shock, Naruto floated in the air, but there he hovered 20 feet up into the air, a 2-foot stream of flames shooting out of the bottom of his boots. You may have 4 people, but I have real-world experience, declared Naruto, dropping to the ground away from the 4 armored teens who all glared at the blonde. Oh, and a few weapons to choose from, spoke Naruto as he ran forwards and in an instant appeared in front of Carden in a crouched position, slamming his foot into Carden's chin. Launched the huntsman in training into the air before Naruto let fly with a short burst off bullets, making him hang in the air. Naruto jumped at the man, wrapping his arm around Carden's neck and a knee under his back. The blonde fell to the ground. Dead, declared Naruto as he landed, dropping Carden on the ground, his weapon which had fallen out of his hand landing a few feet away. Naruto then pulled out the 2 double ammo clip looking things that once he grabbed them they flipped out to reveal a twin set of pistols, which he held the pistols upside down. Naruto jumped backwards into a handstand to avoid a few bullets from Dove and his sword. Russell ran forwards at Naruto with his daggers, jumping up hoping to use gravity to help with the attack. Naruto putting his hands up, a pair of blade launching out of the back end of the pistols blocking Russell's daggers, making the man glare at Naruto, looking into the blonde's red eyes. Dead, declared Naruto as Russell screamed and dropped to the ground unconscious. 2 down. You 2 still want to go? Questioned Naruto, looking at the 2 remaining members of Ciardel. The 2 men glared at Naruto before looking to each other, before nodding to each other, and running forwards, one going left, the other going right. The D and L of Ciardel ran at Naruto in a pincer movement, swinging their weapons around, attempting to pin Naruto in the middle. Naruto just brought up the bladed pistol tonfa weapons to block the attacks from the sword and halberd. Swinging his arm around to free his weapon from the blade lock, Naruto kicked Sky and his halberd back before a stream of fire shot out of the bottom of his boot, forcing the man back. Naruto then spun both blades around, freeing his other arm from the other blade lock before pointing both pistols at Dove and unloading 2 full clips of dust ammo. 1 flamed the other ice dust, creating clouds of fire and shards of ice, breaking Dove's aura's defensive power, knocking him out of the fight too. Naruto turned to Sky, narrowing his eyes at the man. Naruto quickly folded up his blade tonfa and put them back on his belt before reaching up and pulling break blade off his back, and while the weapon was above his head he pulled it apart into the two katana-like blades, rolling the two weapons in his hands. Naruto looked at Sky, who was rather nervous as Naruto stood opposite him. Naruto ran forwards, and as he reached Sky the man flinched and Naruto's weapons became a blur as he slashed constantly at Sky, not giving him time to recover, and quickly broke his aura. Naruto stood back and looked at the ground around him. Two people with depleted aura, one under Sharingan Genjutsu, and the last would have been dead had Naruto wanted it. Winner Naruto of Team EBNI, declared Glynda, walking back onto the field. Naruto walked past Glynda, looking up at Team rwby, narrowing his eyes. Ozpin may have brought him in about Amber, but given for now he was working with them, he was going to break those 4 girls down and rebuild them as huntresses. They all had delusions about lives as huntresses. Weiss thought it was all about methodical technique that had to be absolutely perfect no matter the time taken. Yan was better. She was thinking it was all one great big adventure, and nothing bad would happen to her with her skills. Blake had the most accurate view on the life, but she was under the delusion that she didn't need a team to back her up. Naruto didn't need a team, he was an assassin, not a huntsman. Ruby had the most skewed view on the world. She was thinking the world was a fairy tale. She needed a reality check, but that could wait. Naruto's next target to begin to break down was, Blake, can I have a word? Questioned Naruto with a friendly smile. This is blackmail, said Blake as she glared at Naruto. Glare at me all you want, Blake, you can despise me with all of your being, but that isn't going to change the fact that I know your secret, and you can't reveal mine without revealing your own, said Naruto looking at Blake. And if I don't? Questioned Blake, narrowing her eyes at Naruto. You can tell your team that you're a faunus and we're a member of the White Fawn, or I will do it, and trust me, my approach will not be pretty. I'm not making you reveal everything, just that you're a faunus, and hell, I'll even make the deal better for you. You have a week to tell them about being a fawns, and then a month after that to tell them about the White Fang, said Naruto looking at Blake, who was still glaring at him. Why are you doing this to me? Questioned Blake, not happy about being blackmailed. Ozpin called me here because a major battle is just over the horizon, and he couldn't risk me being on the other side. And now that I know what's at stake, I'm going to make damn sure we win. If that means breaking a few people down, and then building them back up, then so fucking be it. And right now you hiding your true self from your team is a hazard that I for one am not willing to let lay, said Naruto, his eyes letting out an eerie red glow from under his hood. I mean, just think about it, what happens when, not if, when someone who knows who you are comes along and reveals what you are to your team in the midst of battle. You're all going to flinch and it will cost you, said Naruto. Despite his sound reasoning, Blake was still glaring at him. Feel free to tell your team that I'm making you tell them, and if you do, tell Ruby and Yang are next, and I still have more in store for Weiss, said Naruto, turning around and walking away from the faunus who glared at his retreating form. You shouldn't glare, Blake, it ruins your pretty face, said Naruto, casting a glance over his shoulder at the girl, who blushed at what he said, making her cuter in his opinion, before she glared at him with her blushing face. See you around, kitty, said Naruto with a smirk as he walked down the hallway. Blake turned around and walked back into class as Naruto walked down the halls. I need a drink, muttered Naruto as he moved through the halls. Luckily, combat training had been his last class for the day, and today was Friday, so he didn't need to worry about classes or even being conscious tomorrow. So once outside, Naruto vanished in a swirl of leaves. City of Vale. Naruto appeared in an alleyway of the city, having not wanted to freak people out. Looking around, the blonde walked out of the alleyway, heading to the only place he knew that had alcohol that actually affected him. Walking the streets, Naruto's eyes moved quickly, keeping track of most of the people around him, making sure no one would jump him. Moving silently, Naruto made his way to the edge of the city where the club was. When the blonde walked into the club, he could as usual hear the music blaring. Ignoring it, he walked up to the large doors, opening them, making everyone turn to him. All of the protection looked at him terrified. The regulars looked at him before shrugging and looking away, and the others looked at him confused. He was clearly too young to be in a bar, but the blonde simply walked towards the bar. 3 bottles of snake venom, Jr., said Naruto as he walked up to the bar, getting a raised eyebrow from the man behind the bar as he left to get Naruto his drinks. Ain't you a little young to be here? Questioned the man next to Naruto. Naruto cast a glance sideways at the man before his eyes widened a bit. Just as Junior came back with 3 bottles in hand, Naruto handed Junior a small wad of money before grabbing the bottles. I am, but people don't mess with me here, Erosanin, said Naruto before quickly vanishing in a swirl of leaves before the man could even turn to face him. The man's white ponytail whipped around as he turned to the vortex of leaves. A barkeep, you know where that kid is staying? Questioned the white-haired man. He is one person I don't ask about, declared Junior. Damn it, muttered Jiraiya, getting up before leaving the bar. Where did you go, Naruto? Questioned Jiraiya, looking around for the blonde. With Naruto. Naruto stood on the docks of Beacon looking out at the city with his eyes narrowed. I'm sorry, Bachan, but even Erosanin can't make me come back now, muttered Naruto before he turned and made his way back to his room. He had 3 bottles of the strongest vodka in the world and a night to waste. As Naruto walked towards his dorm, he saw the rest of his combat training class exiting the area and heading their separate ways. Ignoring them, Naruto entered the dorms, and walking up the stairs he caught Team rwby and JNPR as they entered their dorm rooms, locking eyes with Blake. Naruto mouthed tell them to her, making her glare at him as he shrugged as she entered the room, and Naruto entered his room next to Team rwby's. Naruto put the 2 of his bottles on his desk before opening the third as he walked to his window, opening it to watch as the sky turned pink. Naruto tossed his head back and let the spirit flow down his throat, burning it slightly as it went down. "You're what?" came the voice from the next room over. Naruto sat on the windowsill, leaning his head back on the wood frame before he sighed, taking a swig of booze. After a few moments there was a knock at the door. Naruto turned to the door with a raised brow. "It's open," said Naruto with a confused look. The door opened and Naruto saw Ruby standing there. "You told Blake to tell me and Yang we were next," said Ruby, looking at Naruto, who looked at her with a raised brow. "Yeah, and?" questioned Naruto, looking at her lazily. "What did you mean?" questioned Ruby. "I'm going to break the 4 of you down and build you back up into huntresses. I don't care if you 4 end up loathing me, there is a battle coming, you 4 are now part of this whether you like it or not, and I'm going to make sure you survive," said Naruto. "Then do whatever you plan to do to me now. I should have been first, I'm the leader of my team, how can I be expected to lead them with you breaking them down if I'm not right?" "They're with them," ordered Ruby. Naruto looked at her, his mind already partially inhibited by the booze. "Are you sure this will not be pretty?" said Naruto, getting a nod from Ruby. "Alright, but don't say I didn't warn you," said Naruto, standing up, capping off his booze, putting it with the other bottles before he stepped over to Ruby, putting a hand on her shoulder, making her look at him before the 2 vanished in a swirl of leaves. Emerald Forest. The 2 appeared on the cliff that they had been launched off of during their initiation. Ruby stood there for a moment dizzy until she shook her head and saw Naruto with his back to her. "And Naruto, why did we come out here?" asked Ruby, looking at Naruto. "You need a reality check, and the best way for that is," spoke Naruto, turning to face her, his eyes glowing brightly for a moment, only for an arrow to come flying out of nowhere and pierce his back, making him fall forwards, blood pouring out of his mouth. "Naruto," screamed Ruby, looking down at the blonde as blood poured out of his back and mouth. "Ruby, what's going?" spoke a voice from behind the red and black-haired girl, who quickly turned to see Yang. However, to her horror, Yang's head had been lopped off by a masked man behind her, who stood there with a smirk on his face. "Yang!" yelled Ruby, running over to her sister and sliding under her, catching her down body. "Rwby!" came a strained voice. Ruby looked up and saw a ghostly pale Weiss there without her weapon in hand, only for the girl to fall forwards, revealing Weiss's rapier was stabbed into her back. "No, no, 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 this can't be happening," said Ruby. Ruby then heard a twig snap behind her. "Please no," spoke Ruby, turning to see Blake, who had been in a tree, fall forwards, dropping out of the tree. "And oh!" screamed Ruby, her aura surging, creating silvery wing-like things from her eyes. Naruto's eyes went wide when he saw Ruby's aura surge before he narrowed his eyes. "And Naruto, you're alive?" questioned Ruby, looking at him. "Yes, I am. None of the people you saw die really did, Ruby. I cast an illusion on you to make you realize that life isn't a fairy tale. There isn't always a happy ending. People die, people get injured. Even within the walls of Beacon we're not safe. I don't want you to think the world is a nice place. The world is a horrible place, balanced of the knife edge of chaos. One little push and the world falls into darkness. You are strong, Ruby, but not strong enough to face the world head on," said Naruto, looking at the crying girl. "I'm not saying give up on your dream of making the world a better place and your happy attitude, but the world is a dark place, Ruby. You need to understand that," said Naruto, looking down at Ruby. "Come on, let's get you back to your team. I'm sure you're worried I was lying, and I need to have a word with Ozpin," said Naruto, muttering the last part to himself before he put his hand on her shoulder, and once more the 2 vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto's room. Naruto and Ruby appeared back in Naruto's room. Ruby was shivering as she shook her head before moving to the door. "Thank you, Naruto," said Ruby, turning to him. "For what?" questioned the blonde, looking at her with a raised eyebrow. "For caring enough to help us to this degree, risking us hating you for it," said Ruby before she vanished from his room. Naruto sighed before he turned to his open window before jumping out as he made his way towards the main tower of Beacon. Naruto walked through the open courtyard, noticing students looking at him in fear more so than earlier in the day. "I guess news is getting around that I beat Carden and his team," muttered Naruto, looking around. As he made it to the tower, getting in the elevator, he went up to Ozpin's office. "Ozpin, I've got a bone to pick with you," spoke Naruto, glaring at the silver-haired man as he stepped out of the elevator. "Excuse me, but as you can see we are in a meeting," declared a voice from nearby. "Shut it, Ironwood," declared Naruto, turning to the man, who flinched before he glared back at him. "You," spoke Ironwood, narrowing his eyes. "You can't punish me for leaving, General. I was a mercenary you hired, and I decided I needed to leave. Be thankful I did, otherwise you could have lost lots of good men," spoke Naruto with a growl. "You said you wished to speak with me, Naruto," said Ozpin calmly, looking at the blonde. "Why didn't you tell me she was the Winter Maiden?" questioned Naruto, narrowing his eyes at Ozpin, who looked confused. "I don't spoke the silver-haired man. "Don't give me that shit. You knew damn well Ruby was Winter Maiden, that's why no doubt she's here, and you didn't tell me. I said you will not keep me in the dark," snarled Naruto, glaring at Ozpin. "We thought you knew. Wait a minute, if you didn't know, then how do you know now?" questioned Ozpin, looking at Naruto confused. "She has awoken her powers," declared Naruto. "How?" questioned Ironwood. "I put her under an illusion. She saw her team die before her eyes, said Naruto turning to Ironwood before turning back to Ozpin. Ozpin, I'll stay here until I get my hands on whoever attacked Amber, then I am leaving and, you people all of you, are never to contact me again, said Naruto turning to leave. Before he left he turned to Ironwood. If you plan to bring Winter here I suggest you keep at least 20 of your little toy robots around her because I'm still not happy with her, declared Naruto with a glare before stepping into the elevator, and the doors closed. What did Winter do to him? Questioned Glynda looking to Ironwood. It's not my place to say, said Ironwood. I have to go, spoke Glynda quickly moving to the elevator, and before either Ozpin or Ironwood could ask what was going on she was gone. With Naruto now once more sat on his windowsill, a scowl on his face. A bottle of snake venom in one hand, a little black box in the other. Pocketing the little box, Naruto sighed. Just had to be Ironwood, didn't it? Muttered Naruto taking a swig out of the bottle, watching as the sun dropped below the horizon. A knocking at the door drew his attention back into his room. Naruto, it's me, spoke the voice of Glynda through the door. What can I do for you, Professor Goodwitch? Questioned Naruto. Can I please come in? I'd rather not talk about this through the door, said the woman nervously. Naruto sighed, standing up before walking to the door. What? Questioned Naruto, opening the door, not caring in the slightest that she saw him with the snake venom in hand. Glynda stepped around Naruto. The blonde closed the door as he turned to her. Naruto, I want to talk about the other night, spoke the woman taking a seat on his bed. What's there to talk about? I laid my heart out, and you stomped on it. Not much there to talk about, said Naruto walking over to the window, not even looking at her. Naruto, what happened on the roof the other night was, spoke Glynda. A mistake? Yeah, you've made that more than clear, declared Naruto leaning on the windowsill as she talked. You're right, it was a mistake for me to leave like that, said Glynda, making Naruto cast a sideways glance at her with a raised eyebrow. I was scared, Naruto. I'm 10 years older than you. I'm a teacher and you're a student. I'm a regular human, you're a faunus. There are so many of these little things nagging at the back of my mind, so many of them. And I chose the cowardly way and ran. You put your heart on the like, and like you said, I stomped on it. But with the last couple of days I've had time to think, and I have decided if you still want to be together I am willing to give us a go, said Glynda, looking up at Naruto, who had turned to face her. Naruto looked at her shocked. I understand if you began Glynda, looking away from him. Glynda, spoke Naruto, interrupting her and making her look back at him. Yes? Questioned the blonde woman, looking up at the man in front of her. Stop talking, said Naruto before he moved forwards and crashed his lips into hers. Glynda, not expecting the sudden lip lock, fell back, Naruto falling on top of her, kissing her. Glynda was shocked but quickly recuperated the action and began kissing Naruto back. The blonde professor rolled the two of them over so she was on top. How much have you had to drink tonight, Naruto? Questioned Glynda with her hand on his chest. About half a bottle, said Naruto, looking at the half-empty bottle on his desk. I would offer you some, but it's snake venom vodka, it's the strongest stuff in the world, said Naruto, sitting up. Glynda looked at Naruto with a raised brow. None of the other stuff does anything to me, declared Naruto, answering the unasked question before he moved Glynda off him and moved to the scroll that held all of his positions. I can however offer you a variety of other drinks if you're interested, said Naruto. Why not? It's Friday night, declared Glynda, looking at Naruto, who smirked and rolled out his scroll far enough that it revealed several different kanji. Putting his hand on one, Naruto channeled some chakra to his hand, unsealing the contents of the seal. Well, I've got some champagne, some white wine, some sake, and some assorted spirits, said Naruto. The next morning, Naruto's eyes fluttered open as he heard his scroll beeping. Groggily reaching over to it, he picked it up and answered it. Hello, spoke the hungover and sleep-deprived Naruto. Naruto, you sound terrible, spoke the voice on the other end. Sleepy and hungover, Ozpin, make it quick, declared Naruto. Right, well, there's a white-haired man here to see you, and he said he won't leave until he speaks to you, said Ozpin. Jiraiya? Questioned Naruto. That's him, you know him? Questioned Ozpin. Tell him I'll be there in half an hour, said Naruto before hanging up. On my head, spoke a voice from next to Naruto, making him turn back to an equally hungover Glynda, whose hair was down, and her glasses were on a bedside table. Morning, Glynda, spoke Naruto, making her eyes go wide, quickly reaching out for her glasses. Naruto. Hi, said Glynda awkwardly. Did we? Questioned Glynda, looking at Naruto, knowing she didn't need to finish her thought for him to understand what she meant. I can't remember much after my first bottle of snake venom, groaned Naruto, raking his brain for an answer before he quickly lifted up the quilt. I think given we're both still wearing underwear, probably not, muttered Naruto, getting out of bed. Where are you going? Questioned Glynda. Ghost of my past is here wanting to speak with me. I'll be back soon. Until then, relax, said Naruto, planting a kiss on Glynda's forehead. Naruto stepped out of the elevator to Ozpin's office, armed to the teeth, only to see the silver-haired man talking with his former sensei. Naruto, glad you could make it, said Ozpin. What do you want, Jiraiya? Questioned Naruto, ignoring Ozpin in favor of glaring at the white-haired Sannin. Whoa, why so hostile, kid? Questioned Jiraiya. Hungover, sleepy, and to be perfectly honest, not happy to see you, said Naruto simply. What have I done? Questioned Jiraiya. Nothing, but given you're here, that means you're going to do what every other Konoha ninja has done once they found me. Tell me Bachan has ordered me back and then attack me when I say no, said Naruto, looking away from Jiraiya. And I see you as a father figure, Ero-san, and I don't want to hurt you, spoke Naruto. Why don't you want to come back, Naruto? You told me your dream was to be Hokage. Questioned Jiraiya. It was, until I realized it would never happen. The village hated me for the QB and essentially killing Sasuke wouldn't help me. Bachan and possibly about 10 others maybe want me back in Konoha because it's my home. The rest want me back there as either a weapon in the making or a war deterrent, and I don't fill either of those roles anymore, said Naruto, making Jiraiya look at him confused. I hate myself for asking this, but why don't you fill the roles anymore? Questioned Jiraiya. QB is gone. Where I don't know. All I know since I arrived here, QB has disappeared, and given Konoha ninja have been coming after me for several years, it's safe to say it hasn't reformed and attacked Konoha, and there's no way it's here and I haven't heard about it, said Naruto. Why don't we go for a walk, Naruto, suggested Jiraiya. First I want your word on your title as a Sannin and on your contract with the Toads that you won't attack me, declared Naruto, getting a nod from the man. Naruto then motioned to the elevator behind him. The two ninja walked into the elevator and went down to the ground floor. I do miss Konoha, Ero-san, and I miss it a little bit, but it's not my home, said Naruto. Tsunade is worried about you, brat, said Jiraiya. I know, and I hate worrying her, but I can never go back, not now, said Naruto as the two walked towards the docks of Beacon. Why not? Questioned Jiraiya, looking down to the blonde. Look at me, Jiraiya, people thought I was the QB before I came here. Do you really think now with Fox ears they aren't going to think that even more? Besides, if they don't hate me for that, they'll hate me for essentially killing Sasuke, said Naruto, lowering his hood so Jiraiya could see his full face. Is that why you took his last name here as a means of respect to him? Questioned Jiraiya. No, I took his name because Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha are both dead. The two of them fused to create me. I have all of both of their memories and a mixture of everything else, said Naruto. I see, spoke Jiraiya, eyeing the boy next to him. Besides, if I did go back, I have the murders of at least 50 Konoha nin on my head, plus I technically did abandon the village, said Naruto, looking away from Jiraiya. That's not the point, kid, you've got S-class ninja after you. Were calling you back to make sure you're ready, said Jiraiya. That's if they can find me here, as I've only seen Konoha ninja wandering around. That does remind me, I have been meaning to ask someone, but as I said in Ozpin's office, no one listens long enough to answer. How are you getting here? I'm fairly sure here is either a different dimension or at least a different planet? Questioned Naruto. Since the Sasuke retrieval mission rips, I guess, have been opening up around the Land of Fire, we have been keeping them under wraps until we can work out what they are, but everyone we send through never comes back. I guess we have you to thank for that, said Jiraiya, looking down at his former apprentice. Not necessarily, it could be Grim, Huntsman, Huntresses, or even the White Fang, said Naruto with a shrug. So there is nothing I could say to convince you to come back? Questioned Jiraiya. No, Jiraiya, not now. I have a fight over the horizon here and I will not leave before it, and I also have someone keeping me here now, said Naruto with a soft smile, thinking of Glynda. So you found yourself a special lady. I'm happy for you, kid, said Jiraiya, slapping Naruto on the back as the two looked out over the horizon at the falling leaves over Vale. Thanks, Ero-sanin, said Naruto with a smile, looking down. Alright, kid, I suppose given you're not coming back I should tell you about your parents, said Jiraiya, making Naruto look up at him shocked. Why now? And for that matter, why not try to use that to get me back to Konoha? Questioned Jiraiya. Because, kid, I'm not going to hold that information over my godson's head when he's given me his reasons, said Jiraiya, making Naruto look at him shocked. You're my godfather? Questioned Naruto, getting a nod from Jiraiya. Look, I'm sorry for not being around for you when you were young, kid. I needed to maintain my spy network and I'm not really father material, said Jiraiya, getting a nod from Naruto. The past is in the past, Ero-sanin, said Naruto with a shrug. Naruto turned to Jiraiya as he heard the man remove something made of cloth. Looking at the man, he had removed his headband. I kept the inheritance you would be given when you were mature enough with me. At all time I was the one who decided when that would be, and now is the time, said Jiraiya, looking down at his headband, revealing a seal on the back of his headband. Putting his hand on the seal, Jiraiya pumped some chakra into the seal and out popped several books which looked like journals, half a dozen scrolls and a katana. The sword was your mother's, the scrolls and the journals are your parents', said Jiraiya, handing Naruto the items. Naruto carefully took the items, as if breathing on them would cause them to burst into flames and burn to ashes. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, princess of the Uzumaki clan, declared Jiraiya, looking down at Naruto, who looked at him in shock. And your father was Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, spoke Jiraiya, once more shocking Naruto. See, can you tell me about them? Questioned Naruto, looking hopefully. Sure, kiddo, but is there somewhere more comfortable? This will take some time? Questioned Jiraiya. Well, we could go to my room, but if we do, you are not to perv on my girlfriend, nor are you to speak loudly, as she may be asleep or just as hungover as me, said Naruto, getting a nod from Jiraiya. With that, the two ninja walked towards the dorm rooms. Walking into the building and quickly moving up the stairs, Naruto stopped in front of his door, motioning for Jiraiya to wait as he opened the door, finding Glynda was awake and sitting up. Naruto, what happened? Questioned Glynda, looking at the blonde. Nothing, for once the person who wanted to see me was civil about it, said Naruto, stepping into the room. Are you okay? Questioned Glynda, looking at Naruto, who nodded. Yeah, he and I talked for a while and he told me who my parents are and he's waiting to come in and tell me about them. I can give you some time to get dressed if you want, said Naruto. Are you sure you want me here when he tells you about them? Questioned Glynda, looking at Naruto concerned. Yes, of course I am, said Naruto with a smile at her. It just seems a little personal is all, spoke Glynda. Glynda, I've shown you my childhood, I've shown you my darkness, this is nothing compared to that, declared Naruto, getting a nod from Glynda. Alright, I will need a minute, said Glynda, getting a nod from Naruto, who stood up and stepped out of the room for a moment. She's getting dressed, said Naruto. That far got you well good on ya, spoke Jiraiya with a proud smile. It's not like that, Ero-san, and we both got drunk last night, spoke Naruto. Declared Jiraiya in a skeptical tone. Naruto flipped the older man the bird. The two stood there for a moment in silence before the door opened, revealing a fully dressed, neat, and tidy Glynda, making Jiraiya raise a brow at the woman before looking at Naruto. What? Questioned Naruto, glaring at Jiraiya. Nothing, just surprised is all, said Jiraiya. He wasn't sure what he was expecting when Naruto told him he had someone special, but the woman in front of him was not really it. Hello, I'm Glynda Goodwitch, said Glynda with a pleasant smile. I'm Jiraiya, Naruto's godfather, said Jiraiya with a small smile. Glynda narrowed her eyes at the man for a moment before her smile was back. Come on in, Ero-san, said Naruto, stepping past Glynda into his room. The woman quickly followed behind him and sat down next to him. Jiraiya stepped into the room. Seeing the two others sat on the bed, Jiraiya pulled up a chair. Now where to begin, muttered Jiraiya. Several hours later, Naruto stood with Jiraiya on the docks of Beacon. Jiraiya had finished telling Naruto stories of his parents, and was about to leave and return to Konoha to tell Tsunade what was going on with Naruto. Thanks for understanding, Ero-san, said Naruto with a small smile. Hey, you bring up a good point. If the Akatsuki can't find you, then there's no problem, said Jiraiya before he snapped his fingers. Naruto, would you let me see the seal? Questioned Jiraiya. Naruto blinked before he realized what he was talking about and lifted his black shirt, showing his stomach before channeling chakra to the area, making the seal that formerly held the QB appear there. Might as well get rid of this, it's only a drag on your chakra without the QB there, said Jiraiya, his fingertips igniting with blue flames before he reached forward, slamming his fingers into the now useless seal. Once Jiraiya's fingers unlocked the seal, Naruto fell to the ground, clutching his head, groaning in pain. Naruto? Questioned Jiraiya, looking down at the blonde. Ugh, at least I know where the QB went, groaned Naruto, wincing as he talked. What, where? Questioned Jiraiya. I absorbed it. I am the QB, spoke Naruto. What are you saying, Naruto? How is that possible? Questioned Jiraiya, confused, looking down at Naruto. When Sasuke and I merged, apparently I absorbed the QB's power, my mother and father's chakra, which they had sealed into the seal, and I can only guess that the souls were locked behind that seal, and undoing it has granted me access to all of the memories of my mother, father, and the QB, muttered Naruto, still clutching his head. You absorbed the QB? Questioned Jiraiya. I don't know, I think so, groaned Naruto as he shook his head as the pain began to subside a bit. Naruto, spoke Jiraiya. No, I'm not going back to Konoha, I'm fine. If I need help, the medicine here is just as good, if not better, than in the elemental nations. Leave it, Jiraiya, declared Naruto with no room for argument. Jiraiya sighed but nodded as Naruto pushed himself up, wincing as he did before reaching into his pocket and pulling out a remnant scroll, opening it, entering some details. Wincing every so often, he moved over to Jiraiya. Here, this is the way you or Tsunade contact me if you come to this world again looking for me, and only you or Tsunade, spoke Naruto, stressing the only, getting a nod from Jiraiya. Naruto then quickly showed the man how to work the device, Jiraiya quickly picking up how to use it. Alright, Ero-san, and for now this is goodbye, said Naruto, getting a nod from Jiraiya, who turned and vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto sighed and turned back towards the grounds of Beacon and began walking towards the grounds while expanding his senses. He still had one member of Team RWBY to begin breaking down with. Yang, the blonde-haired member of Team RWBY, was currently beating up some training dummies in the school's training grounds. She was worried. All of the members of her team except her had been spoken to by Naruto, which meant she was next, and she was scared of what he would do to her, given he had degraded Weiss in front of a class of people, blackmailed Blake, and done something to Ruby that when she returned to their room after talking to him, she had hugged all of them, saying she was glad they were alive. Yang, spoke a voice from behind her, making her jump with an eep. Turning around, she came face to a mask with the very person she was scared of seeing walking into the training grounds. Hey Naruto, spoke the girl nervously. He simply held up a finger and gave her the come here gesture. Nodding her head solemnly, she walked over to him. I take it from the reaction you're scared of what's going to happen? Questioned Naruto as she stepped up to him. She gave a nod. Good, given what I have done to your team, I would be disappointed in you if you weren't, declared the younger blonde as he reached out and clamped a hand over her shoulder, making her look to the hand, only for the two to vanish in a swirl of leaves. Emerald Forests. Naruto once more appeared with a member of Team RWBY on the edge of the forests of their initiation. Naruto, what are we doing here? Questioned Yang, stopping for a moment to quickly keep her breakfast down. Naruto? Questioned Yang, looking around for the man who brought her there, only to see him not there. However, someone else was there. Ruby, what are you doing here? Questioned Yang, stepping up to her sister with a raised eyebrow, only for the second as before she blinked and a blade slices clean through Ruby's neck. Are you BY? Questioned Yang, looking at Ruby as he head and body fell to the ground. You bastard, roared Yang as she lunged at the man who was revealed as Ruby's body fell. However, as she lunged at him, he turned and pulled out a katana, slicing clean through Yang's forearm, making the girl fall to the ground, clutching her stub arm. And before she could get up and away, the masked man was in front of her with a smirk plastered on his face. Tears began to fall down Yang's face as she closed her eyes. Feeling a hand landing on her shoulder, Yang opened her eyes only to see Naruto standing in front of her. You're fine, Yang, said Naruto. Bu, stuttered Yang, tears falling down her face. So is Ruby, she was never here, declared Naruto, making Yan look at him. Yan, you like your sister think that everyone is safe, you're too skilled for anything to happen to you, but you rely so much on your aura and semblance, and you're so reckless. Trust the person who was more reckless than you and ended up with a hole in his chest. Throwing yourself head first into a fight is not a good idea. Especially someone like you who relies on your semblance to soak up damage. What happens when you meet someone who can deplete your aura in only a few attacks? Or when you face enemy after enemy and have no aura left? Questioned Naruto. Yan looked at him shocked. While life is an adventure, Yan, you have chosen the most difficult and dangerous adventure, and it's ready to snuff you out if you let it, declared Naruto, making Yan look down. I think you have some thinking to do, so we'll head back, said Naruto, not even getting a nod from the girl as he put his hand on her shoulder, and the two vanished in a swirl of leaves appearing in the hall outside Team RWBY's room. Without saying anything, Yan walked into the room, a look of deep thought on her face. Naruto meanwhile turned and walked into his room. Before he flopped on his bed, he still had a weekend to waste. 2 days later, Naruto was sitting in the last class of the day. It was a class with Professor Port. Naruto had tuned the man out as he had other things on his mind. Once the bell rang out, Naruto stood up and walking out of the room, he moved towards the exit of the building, where he took a position leaning up against the wall, waiting for certain people. John, Pira, Ren, Nora, called Naruto, giving the come here gesture as they looked at him. What is it, Naruto? Asked John as Team JNPR approached the blonde. Just a sec, spoke Naruto before turning to the crowd of people. Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Young, called Naruto to the 4 members of Team RWBY, who all bar Ruby jumped when he spoke their name. They too were given the come here gesture and walked over to Naruto. What's up, Naruto? Questioned Ruby as the 3 teams stood together. We're going to train a little, spoke Naruto, turning to lead the 8 huntsmen/huntresses in training out of the building. The 8 people looked at each other and shrugged, while Team JNPR and Ruby shrugged. The other 3 just moved after Naruto. Walking towards the training ground, Naruto saw both teams walking up with confused looks on their faces. You 8 are going to fight me, said Naruto, making all 8 people look at him shocked and confused. Isn't that a little unfair? Questioned John. Maybe, but Team CFVY aren't available right now, said Naruto with a smirk, making the members of Teams RWBY and JNPR to look at him as if he was crazy. And besides, this is different to combat class. We will be fighting without weapons. You all can use whatever you want against me other than your weapons. I won't be using my weapons, said Naruto. What is this supposed to achieve? Questioned Weiss. Well, princess, this is to show you lot how hopeless you would be without your weapons, which, while not as important as other skills, is something you need to know, said Naruto. Naruto looked around at the 8 people standing around him ready to attack. He could see them all, and maybe 2 Yang and Ren looked comfortable without weapons. Everyone else was looking uncomfortable. Naruto narrowed his eyes and jumped back as Pira lunged at him. Spinning around and grabbing her by the wrist, Naruto flipped her up and swept her legs out from under her and threw her at Nora, who had been sneaking up from behind him. Naruto dropped to the ground as Ruby lunged at him and flew over his head. Naruto had to roll to the side as Ren slammed his foot down into the ground where Naruto used to be. Kicking up into a handstand, Naruto delivered a split kick as Yang and Blake ran at him from opposite sides, knocking both girls back. Pushing off the ground, Naruto slammed a fist into John's chest, throwing him backwards into a tree, knocking the other blonde unconscious. Rolling his eyes, Naruto jumped up, flipping backwards over Ruby, who once more threw a punch at the man. Landing on one foot, Naruto lunged forwards and slammed a knee into Weiss's chest, launching the girl back with a grunt before she moved forwards and threw her fist at Naruto, who simply caught the fist, before throwing his forehead forwards into her nose, pushing her back as she clutched her nose. Naruto then threw his elbow back into Nora's gut before bringing his fist up, slamming it into her nose. In a flurry of rose petals, Ruby appeared in front of Naruto mid-swing with her fist. Naruto swayed to the side, letting Ruby's fist slam into Yan, pushing the elder sister back before Naruto slammed his own fist into Ruby's face, launching her back. Flipped backwards, dodging as Pira lunged forwards at Naruto. The blonde yawned as Pira punched at him, only for him to block with his arm lazily. The red-haired girl was quickly joined by Rin, who threw his fist at Naruto, who blocked the attack with his other hand. Naruto leaned back quickly to duck under Pira's leg. Flipping back, Naruto kicked her in the chin, launching the girl up into the air while still parallel to the ground. Naruto spun and kicked, knocking Rin away from him before in the blink of an eye Naruto leapt off the ground into the air, and in the blink of an eye he was behind Pira. Spinning around, Naruto slammed a fist into Pira's stomach, making her grunt in pain before Naruto spun back the other way, slamming his foot and fist into Pira from the other side before the two rocketed into the ground. Sure Rindan, Lion's Barrage, called Naruto as he and Pira hit the ground, knocking the girl unconscious. Naruto smirked, jumping up, flipping backwards, slamming his heel into the back of Weiss's head, slamming her into the ground. She too joining Pira and John in the land of unconsciousness before jumping backwards as Blake lunged at him. Naruto landed one foot back before lunging forwards and slamming his fist into her, only for the form of Blake to blur, indicating she had used her semblance to create a clone. Naruto backhanded Black as she tried to punch him. Spinning and lunging forwards, Naruto slammed his fist into Blake's face, throwing her backwards. However, before she could recover, Naruto jumped forwards, landing just in front of her before slamming his foot into the side of her head in a spin kick, making the black-haired fauna spin and drop to the ground in a heap. Naruto stopped and turned to the four remaining conscious members of teams RWBY and JNPR. The blonde assassin narrowed his eyes at the 3 huntresses and 1 huntsman in training before he ran forward, slamming his fist into Yang, who launched backwards. The male blonde dropped to the ground, spinning as he did, slamming a foot into Nora, who was thrown backwards, hitting a tree, rendering her unconscious. Naruto grabbed a fist as Ruby tried to punch him, pulling her forwards. He kicked her up into the air before rolling backwards onto his feet, before jumping upwards, avoiding a kick from Rin as Naruto rocketed up towards Ruby, slamming his knee into the girl's gut, rendering her unconscious as she fell. Naruto caught the girl, quickly getting out of the way of the 2 remaining combatants. He put Ruby on the ground away from the fighting before lunging back towards Rin. The black-haired huntsman in training slapped Naruto's fist away as he drew close. Naruto used the momentum and spun around, slamming his elbow into Rin, making the man stumble. However, before Naruto could follow up on that, Yang jumped at him, her eyes red and her hair flaming with her aura. Naruto jumped back as Yang attacked him, her fist slamming into the ground, creating a crater 20 foot wide. Naruto smirked, having jumped out of the way of the destruction, only for Rin to appear and slam his palm into the bottom of Naruto's jaw. Naruto used the momentum to flip backwards, hooking his feet under Ren's arms, bringing the man over his head and slamming him into the ground head first, knocking him out too. And then there was one, said Naruto with a smirk as he pushed off the ground, landing on the ground facing a red-eyed, glowing-haired Yang, who narrowed her eyes at him before he smirked and gave her the come here gesture. Yang narrowed her eyes at him again. The girl did, however, have no other choice, so she ran forwards, throwing her fist forwards at Naruto, her semblance flaring, increasing the power of her punch. Naruto, however, ducked under the punch faster than Yang could see before he slammed his hand into her gut. Yang just grit her teeth and cocked her other hand back before rocketing a second punch at Naruto, who jumped back in time to dodge Yang's second punch. Yang narrowed her eyes at the younger blonde, who shrugged before Yang growled and threw herself at Naruto, who sighed. Just as Yang hit Naruto, he was replaced in a plume of smoke with a log, and before Yang could even look around for him, the blonde dropped from a tree branch and slammed his hand into the back of her neck. Some time later, Naruto sat on a tree branch. All of the members of teams JNPR and rwby had regained consciousness and were now seemingly looking around for him. "Alright, you lot did slightly better than I expected. Yang and Rin did the best out of you, but you all need work," said Naruto, dropping from the tree. "I know you said that was to prove we were hopeless without our weapons, but it's not like we'd lose our weapons easily," said Pira, looking at Naruto with a raised brow. "You don't think so? Fine, come at me with your weapons. I'll show you how easily you can be separated from your weapons," said Naruto confidently. Pira looked at him with a raised eyebrow before shrugging, quickly moving over to the area the teams had dropped their weapons. Picking up her weapon, she turned to Naruto, who had a bored look plastered on his face. "Come on, Pira, you say you can keep a hold of your weapon, show me," said Naruto, turning to face the girl, who rose an eyebrow at him before she charged at him. Naruto stood there as Pira ran at him. The others looked on in interest. As Pira drew close to Naruto, he moved to the side of her weapon, grabbing her wrist, forcing it down, making her grip on her spear loosen enough for Naruto to grab the weapon. Pulling the trigger on her weapon, Naruto launched it into the tree behind them. Pira jumped back from Naruto before reaching out with her semblance towards her weapon. However, before she could pull her weapon back to her, Naruto lunged at her, breaking her concentration as she brought her shield up to block Naruto's punch, only for Naruto to use it as an opportunity to grab her shield by the edge before pulling it off her arm. Naruto spun with Pira's shield, which he pulled onto his own arm. Once more Pira tried to pull her spear back to her. This time it came out of the tree, but before it could get to her, Naruto snatched the weapon out of the air, spinning around. Naruto stopped the two of them an arm length apart, Naruto holding Pira's blade behind her neck. "You lose, Pira," said Naruto with a smirk and a small tilt of his head. The red-haired girl froze as a dusting of pink spread across her cheeks before Naruto dropped his arms. Holding Pira's weapons out to her, she shook her head before taking her weapons back. "Okay, point taken," said Pira, stepping back. "I've faced so many huntsmen and huntresses I've lost count. All of them, once separated from their weapon, are all pretty much useless. If you lot trust me, I can make you the most powerful huntsmen and huntresses in all of Remnant," said Naruto. "If you've faced so many huntsmen and huntresses, why are you here?" questioned Rin with a calculating eye. "Ozpin called me in for reasons I'm not at liberty to explain," said Naruto, getting a nod from the black-haired teen. "So what's next, Naruto?" questioned Ruby. "Well, I need a little time to work out how to help each of you specifically. So all of you bar Weiss can go for now," said Naruto, getting a nod from everyone bar Weiss, who wore a confused look. "Weiss, walk with me," said Naruto, walking away from the training grounds, the white-haired woman following. "What is it, Naruto?" asked the woman. "From what I know of the Shin'i semblance, you're all able to summon creatures you have defeated," said Naruto. "That's right," said Weiss, proud of her family's semblance. "So are you just not doing that, or can you not?" questioned Naruto, looking at her, as she looked at him shocked before looking down. "I'll take that as a can't?" questioned Naruto, getting a sad nod from Weiss. "Well, I can help with that," said Naruto, making her look at him shocked. "How?" questioned Weiss, shocked. "Easy like this," said Naruto as he pushed Weiss, who didn't realize until now that the two of them had arrived at the docks of Beacon. "Summon or you die," yelled Naruto down to Weiss as she fell from the docks. "What?" screamed Weiss. "You have to summon something to save you, cause I'm not," yelled Naruto down at her. Weiss quickly scrambled to grab her weapon. Taking it out, she focused as hard as she could. "Don't think," yelled Naruto. Weiss was alarmed by the loss of volume in his voice that meant she was getting close to the ground below her. Opening her eyes, Weiss screamed as she saw the ground approaching faster and faster. "Come on, summon, summon," screamed Weiss as she dropped through the air. A rune formed behind her, making Naruto raise an eyebrow from his position back on Beacon's docks. Weiss focused on summoning. "You're going to die," came the distracting voice of Naruto. "Shut up," screamed Weiss, glaring up at the docks where Naruto stood. "You're about to die," spoke Naruto again. Weiss growled. Shut up, growled Weiss. "You're going to die," taunted Naruto. Shut up, shut the fuck up," snarled Weiss. The girl started flailing around and screaming louder as she saw the ground less than 500 meters away. However, she suddenly felt her momentum slow as her eyes clenched shut, accepting her demise at Naruto's hands. Opening her eyes, she saw a white glow under her. Just before she had to close her eyes once more before the ground was right there. Opening her eyes, Weiss saw that she had summoned a suit of armor-looking thing with a giant broadsword strapped to its back. Seeing that, the adrenaline in her system vanished, and the girl passed out, making the giant vanish in a storm of particles, making Weiss drop once more. However, before she could hit the ground, Naruto caught her. "You did good, Weiss," said Naruto before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. Beacon dorm rooms. Naruto appeared in the hall outside Team rwby's room. Knocking on the door, Naruto stood and waited. "Coming," came the voice of Ruby from inside. "Naruto? What happened to Weiss?" questioned Ruby. "I threw her off the docks," said Naruto, walking in and putting Weiss on her bed. "Why the hell would you do that?" questioned Yan, looking at Naruto as if he was insane. The Shinii family semblance allows them to summon creatures they have defeated. Weiss was having trouble throwing her off the docks, made her only think about her summoning to live as opposed to going through the process in her mind, screwing up her efforts, said Naruto, turning to Yan, who looked away from him. "When she wakes up, tell her my room is open if she wants to come and bitch to my face," said Naruto, walking out of the room, walking into his own. Stepping into his room, Naruto dropped to one knee, clutching his head and breathing heavily. "Naruto?" questioned a voice from behind him. "Hey Glynda," said Naruto with a wince as he dropped to the ground and rolled over. "What's wrong?" questioned Glynda, rushing to Naruto's side. "Nothing, ugh, just a little headache," muttered Naruto, wincing. "Naruto, tell me right now what's wrong," said Glynda, sternly looking down at him, trying to work out what was wrong. "Aura fluctuations, it'll be gone in, ugh, a minute," groaned Naruto, wincing once more as he took some deep breaths. "Naruto," began Glynda, stopping when Naruto spoke. "I'm fine, don't, worry," said Naruto with a wince. "It's too late for that now, Naruto, I'm already worrying," said Glynda, only for Naruto to reach up and pull the woman down into a kiss. "I'm fine, I promise," said Naruto when the two parted for breath. The younger blonde lay back down for a moment, making Glynda worry before Naruto sighed and sat up with a smile. "See, I'm fine," said Naruto with a smile. Glynda still looked worried. "How long has that been happening?" questioned the woman in a worried tone. "Since Jiraiya was here," said Naruto, making Glynda's eyes go wide only to narrow again. "No, I know what you're thinking. No, he wouldn't," said Naruto, shaking his head. "You said it yourself, it's only been happening since he was here. What's to say he didn't do something?" questioned Glynda, her eyes narrowed. "He wouldn't do that, besides I would have found anything he did by now," said Naruto, only for an idea to hit him, and his eyes went wide. "What, you look like you just realized something?" questioned Glynda. "When I came here I was formed from Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto had 3 more souls sealed into him which were also merged to create me, but the memories of those 3 were sealed behind a seal which was still on me. A seal which Jiraiya undid," muttered Naruto. "So you think it's something to do with those memories," said Glynda. "Maybe," declared Naruto with a shrug. "I think you need to see someone about that, Naruto," spoke Glynda, concerned. "Yeah, great idea, send the grim faunus to a doctor about head problems," said Naruto sarcastically with a raised eyebrow. Okay, point taken," declared Glynda with an eye roll. "Anyway, what can I do for you, Glynda?" asked Naruto, looking at the woman. "I just wanted to spend some time with you," said Glynda, making Naruto smile. "Okay, just a minute, I need to leave a clone here," said Naruto, getting a confused look from Glynda. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu," spoke Naruto, a clone of him forming. Glynda once more looked at him confused. "I threw Weiss off the docks to help her with her summoning, and have told Ruby, Blake, and Yan to tell her if she wants to bitch to my face my door is open, knowing she probably will want to bitch to me," said Naruto before walking over to Glynda. "That does remind me, what did Winter do to you?" "I asked Ironwood and he said it wasn't his place to tell?" questioned Glynda before she had a hand placed on her shoulder, and she and the real Naruto vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the clone in the room. Several hours later, as it turned out, the clone was unnecessary, as even after Naruto and Glynda had watched the sun set from atop Beacon's tower, Weiss hadn't awoken. So now Naruto was kicking back on his bed, relaxing. That was until he heard a knock at the door. Getting up, he quickly walked over to the door and opened it. "You," spoke Weiss, pointing at him. "Me," repeated Naruto, allowing the clearly angry girl inside. "I would have come in here and hit you, but Ruby told me that what you did was to help with my summoning, and I can do it on command to a certain degree now," spoke Weiss. "So why are you here if not to bitch?" questioned Naruto. Weiss took a deep breath. "I want to thank you again. You helped me with my summoning, something I have wanted to get down before I see my sister again and before I meet my niece for the first time, and you have helped me greatly," said Weiss with a small bow. "I wasn't aware your sister had a daughter," said Naruto with a confused look. "Yeah, Winter hasn't told anyone about it, not even father knows about her, so it's not public knowledge," declared Weiss. "How old is she?" questioned Naruto with a raised eyebrow. She's 1 coming up on 2 in a few months," declared Weiss. Naruto sighed and closed his eyes. "Is she a faunus?" Questioned Naruto with a sigh. How did you know? Questioned Weiss. Naruto covered his face with his hand before pulling downwards. Winter, muttered Naruto with a sigh, shaking his head, completely ignoring Weiss. So we have a problem, called a voice. What? Questioned General James Ironwood, looking down at his soldier. His right-hand soldier Winter Schnee stood beside him. We've lost contact with the squad of AK-130s in the eastern forest. They were wiped out in a matter of minutes, said the soldier. Ironwood looked confused for a moment. By what? Questioned the general of the Atlesian military. We're not sure. The censor said it was a Grim, but only one. Barely bigger than a Beowulf, said the soldier. Impossible, no Grim that small travels alone, and the censors would have picked up on others in the area, declared Winter, glaring at the soldier. I'm sorry, Lieutenant General, I'm just relaying the information we have, declared the soldier, wincing as Winter glared at him. There is one possibility, I just hope I'm wrong, said Ironwood, turning around. Winter, with me, let's go meet this Grim ourselves, said Ironwood, turning around and walking towards the doors. Sir, spoke Winter, following the general. Inform us of any changes, said Ironwood over his shoulder to the soldier who sat in front of the screen. Yes, sir, declared the man as he watched the screen. A short time later, Ironwood and Winter stepped out of the general's personal transport a short distance away from the last signal of the mysterious Grim. So what did you mean earlier? Questioned Winter, looking to the general. Questioned the man as he led his right-hand soldier towards the disturbance. You said you had an idea, but we're hoping you were wrong, said Winter. Have you not heard the rumors, Winter? Questioned Ironwood, looking at the woman who looked confused. People have been saying in the last several months that roaming remnant there has been a monster dressed as a man, skills not that of a huntsman nor a Grim. They say if you see him you're already dead in a flash of lightning and a screaming of birds. They call him the Grim Reaper, spoke Ironwood as if he were telling a ghost story. Are you serious, General? Sounds like a fairy tale, said Winter. Indeed it does, however it's not. I have seen this monster myself, said Ironwood, making Winter turn to him with a shocked look on her face. It was a month ago, when we found those soldiers dead and pinned to the wall by Kanai, I saw him. This monster in human skin, but before I could stop him he vanished into the night, said Ironwood as the two huntsmen stepped into a clearing full of robot parts with two robots charging at one man. He was blond with spiky hair and black streaks in his hair, and his hands were a pair of katana-like blades, both with round wood handles which curiously had dust crystals at the bottom. The man's face was half covered by a Grim mask. As the two AK-130s jumped at the man he simply sliced through them without so much as a care in the world. It was after he took a breath and looked around the clearing and saw he wasn't alone. You two going to attack me too? Come at me, I'll slice you up like your fucking bots, growled the blonde, looking at the two high-ranking Atlesian military commanders. Why were you attacking them? Questioned Winter with a growl, narrowing her eyes at the man. However, before she could blink the man was in front of her with his blade at her throat. They attacked me first, I was defending myself, snarled Naruto, glaring at the woman. Now everyone calm down, spoke Ironwood, trying to calm the situation. Naruto narrowed his eyes, looking at Ironwood before back to Winter. The blonde stepped back from Winter and turned to leave. Where are you going? Questioned Ironwood. Home, I was just going for a walk before some fucking buckets of bolts decided to use me as target practice, said Naruto, not even looking at Ironwood. So no one else in the nearby Atlesian military base has a contract on them, Grim Reaper? Questioned Ironwood, making the blonde stop dead in his tracks before he slowly turned and glared at the two people behind him. So you are the Grim Reaper then, said Ironwood. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the man. And if I am? Questioned Naruto. I'd like to offer you a place in the Atlesian military, said Ironwood, making Naruto raise his eyebrow. Sir, you can't be serious? Questioned Winter from beside her commander. I am Winter. This young man tore through, from the looks of the remains here, several squads of AK-130s without so much as breaking a sweat. Not only that, he managed to sneak onto and off of a fully guarded military base while eliminating several targets in multiple locations without detection, declared Ironwood, looking to his subordinate. Naruto smirked. He was proud of that trip into the military base, not so much the killing, but since Amber had left him he no longer cared. He was doing what he was trained to do, and that was kill. Okay, Ironwood, I'll take you up on your offer on a couple of conditions, said Naruto, getting a nod from the Atlesian general indicating he was listening. I'm not going to train anyone in my skills, they are mine and mine alone. Next, I will only answer to you even if you give me the rank of private. I am not some rookie who doesn't know what I'm doing. Thirdly, I'm not a fucking mailboy. I won't deliver messages or the like. If you're going to give me missions, make sure they're worthy of my skills. And finally, I am a mercenary. If I get paid higher by someone else, I'm leaving, said Naruto. I accept those terms, declared Ironwood, making Winter look at him shocked. Well then, General, what's my first mission? Questioned Naruto with a grin. Naruto, called a voice. Dream End. Naruto shook his head, looking out his window for a second before looking back at his door. It's open, Ruby, said Naruto. The door opened up, letting the red and black-haired girl into the room. There's been another robbery at a dust store. Blake wants to investigate them. She thinks the white Fang are being framed, said Ruby. Naruto leaned back. You asking for my help, Red? Questioned Naruto, lazily looking at the girl. Well, you seem to have a hand in all sorts of things. I was thinking you might know someone who knows someone who knows something, said Ruby. I have my connections, spoke Naruto, looking down with a contemplative look on his face. So you'll help? Questioned Ruby. Naruto looked up at her and nodded. But we're splitting up and I'm going with Blake, said Naruto, drawing a confused look from Ruby. I've shown you, Yang and Weiss, something each of you has needed to see. I have yet to do the same to Blake. Each of you were alone when I showed you what you needed to see. I owe it to Blake to show her the same courtesy, spoke Naruto, getting a nod from the team captain of Team rwby. Naruto stood up and ushered Ruby out of his room. I'll meet you lot at the docks in 5 minutes, declared Naruto, closing the door behind Ruby. 5 minutes later, Beacon's docks. Team rwby stood on the docks waiting for Naruto. Each of them were wearing an outfit similar but at the same time different from their normal casual clothes. Ruby wore a long sleeve, light gray shirt with black belted cuffs near the ends of the sleeves. Over top of the gray shirt is a black pinafore with 2 vertical lines of red stitching that resembled the lacing on a corset. To go along with that, she wore a red skirt with a large black-colored print of her rose emblem on the side of it, and the inside of her skirt was black. As normal, she wore her black stockings and black and red boots. A few pieces of metal arranged in an abstract shape were attached to her sleeve on her left shoulder. To finish off her outfit, she wore a cape. It was short like the one she wore with her uniform, but with a scarf as part of the hood. Weiss wore a pure white dress with black edging and 2 columns of 4 black buttons on the abdomen. Much like on the bolero of her normal outfit, there was a print of her snowflake emblem on her back. However, this time it was pale blue. The inside of the skirt portion of the dress contains black frills. She also wore thigh-high, white high-heel boots with frilly black thigh-high stockings that come up slightly above the top of her boots. Blake wore a white V-neck zip-up shirt that was black along the bottom and has mid-length sleeves. Her belladonna flower emblem, printed in off-white, was on the left side of the shirt. She wore black pants that have a vertical gray stripe on the outer side of each leg, and she wears a black belt with them. Attached to the inner side of the belt was a black, somewhat curved, banner-like piece of fabric that hung from the back and extends forward to her hips. On the underside of this was a thinner, longer, similarly shaped purple piece of fabric. Her black high-heel boots came halfway up her calves and had a pair of belted straps across them. She still wore her black ribbons on her arms and her black bow over her cat ears. Yan wore a collared cream top over a black shirt, and over top of the former was a black article of clothing that consists of a raised collar, a strap across her collarbone, and mid-length sleeves that are gold at the end. Around her neck is a pendant that has a smooth, round, purple gem set in a round piece of metal that had a point coming off the left and right sides and a small oval shape coming from the bottom. She had a pair of crooked black belts with gold accents across her hips, and a purple piece of fabric with lilac lace around the edges hung from her left hip. She had a dark gray article of clothing coming down from under her cream top that is either a miniskirt or part of her black shirt. It had vertical belted straps going down into her thigh-high black stockings, which have her burning heart emblem printed in yellow on the outer side of each leg near the top and a row of 4 gold pyramid studs above each knee. She wore a pair of black boots with a series of belted straps across them. On the back of each boot at the top was a large white ribbon tied into a bow. Naruto appeared before them in a swirl of leaves. Blinking at the outfit change, he whistled. "Looking good, you four," spoke Naruto with a look of mild surprise on his face. "You don't look too bad yourself, stud," spoke Yan with a grin. Naruto too had changed outfit. He had changed out of his what would have been at best described as tattered rags. Naruto now wore a pair of blue denim jeans which were still somewhat tattered, but it suited Naruto's rather wild persona. Naruto also now wore a pitch black t-shirt on front of, which was a fan-like marking which was split in two, the top half being red while the bottom was white. However, in the center of the fan was a golden spiral. Over the top, Naruto wore a similar to normal black tattered cloak. However, unlike usual, this one had silver flames licking the bottom of the uneven fabric. However, what confused all 4 of the members of Team rwby was the weapons Naruto carried. They saw on his belt the 2 pairs of ammo clip-like things that were his bladed tonfa. On his feet were his combat boots, and on his back was break blade. However, crossed underneath break blade was a pole weapon with what appeared to be dust crystals at each. Also, the 4 members of Team rwby noted at Naruto's waist was a rather plain-looking katana in a red sheath which had silver lines running down the edges, and in the middle of the sheath was the same spiral Naruto now wore proudly on his chest. "We both know I'm not your type, Yang," said Naruto with a knowing look at the girl who looked away from him as her 3 teammates looked at her with curious glances. "Blake, were you told what's happening?" asked Naruto, getting a nod from the girl. "Good," said Naruto. "Alright, you lot, I need you to be holding on to each other, and I can get us to Vale in the blink of an eye," said Naruto, getting a confused look from the 4 people in front of him. "Just grab each other's shoulders," said Naruto with a sigh, not wanting to anger the man. The 4 girls followed instructions. Naruto clasped his hand over Blake's shoulder, and the 5 of them vanished in a swirl of leaves. City of Vale. Naruto and Team rwby appeared in an alleyway towards the edge of the city. Naruto turned back to face the 4-girl team only to see Yang looking around skeptically. Hey Yang, attention here," said Naruto, snapping his fingers at her. She shook her head and looked at the blonde. "Last time was an illusion and I won't do that to you again," declared Naruto, getting a nod from the girl. The rest of them looked at the 2 in confusion. "Alright, come on you lot," said Naruto, walking out of the alleyway as the others followed. "Okay, so Blake and I are going to investigate the most recent store robbery," spoke Naruto, getting a semi-reluctant nod from the girl in question. "Yang, I want you to go to this address, tell the bartender I sent you, and ask him if he knows anything about these robberies," said Naruto, handing Yang a piece of paper which she looked at. "Wait, Junior's Club?" asked Yang, looking at the address. "So you know it?" questioned Naruto. "Yeah, Junior and I had a discussion a month or so back," said Yang with a grin. Weiss, you head to the police station, tell them you are a huntress looking into the matter, they should at least give you some information, said Naruto, getting a nod from the girl. Ruby, there's only one dust shop left in town that hasn't been hit. I want you to head there and stake it out for a while looking for shady people, declared Naruto. Shady people? Questioned the girl. People who look out of place, wearing stuff to hide their features or looking too casual, said Naruto. Oh, okay, said Ruby. I'll help you, Ruby, my friend, said a voice from behind the group. There you go, Ruby, Penny will help you, said Naruto, before he blinked. Penny? Questioned Naruto, looking up at the girl. Penny? Spoke Team Ruby, turning around. Hey guys, hello Lieutenant General Naruto, said Penny with a wave. Lieutenant General? Questioned Team RWBY, looking at Naruto, who had slammed his palm into his face. Penny, even when I was in the Atlesian military I told you time and again not to call me that, said Naruto with a sigh. You were in the Atlesian military? Questioned Weiss, looking at Naruto in shock. How the hell did you think I knew your sister? Questioned Naruto, looking at the girl. I don't know, you never told me how you knew her. After I told you about her daughter you threw me out of your room, said Weiss. Oh, you mean little Nebula? Questioned Penny, looking between Weiss and Naruto. Yes, said Naruto simply, before shaking his head. We're getting off track, we have places to be before the trails go cold, said Naruto, getting a nod from the others. Meet back here in a couple of hours, said Naruto before he and Blake began walking away, and like that they all split into their teams and began to walk away. Where are we going, Naruto? Asked Blake. We're going to go to the latest crime scene before we move on to where the White Fang are now, said Naruto, making Blake look at him shocked. It was them, Blake, I know it, the police know it, the military know it, and deep down you know it. You just refuse to believe it. You were a member, and even now after you left you still believe that the White Fang can change for the better. Now I won't tell you it isn't possible for them to change for the better because it's not impossible, declared Naruto, making Blake look at him wide-eyed. But the chance of them changing for the better as the world is now is hopelessly low unless something even scarier than the current regime were to come along and force the White Fang to work with the huntsmen of the world. Then they are not going to change for the better, said Naruto, as he walked. Blake looked at him before looking down. I know, I just began, Blake. You so desperately want them to change. The people of the White Fang were your family, and you don't want to see them hurt the people of the world, spoke Naruto, getting a sad nod from Blake as her cat ears hidden behind her bow drooped low. Trust me, Blake, trust the person who refused to believe his friend was a monster, and ended up with a hole through his chest, and the blood of his other teammates on his hands because of it. You have to let it go. I know you don't want to, but you have to let your faith in the White Fang go, said Naruto. Blake looked down with a sad look and an almost painful look as she forced back tears, only for Naruto to pull the girl into a soft hug. Let it go, Blake, whispered Naruto, and like that tears began to roll down Blake's cheeks. General Ironwood, we are receiving a transmission from Winter's Scroll, said the soldier sitting at a control panel looking up at Ironwood. The general looked down at the man with narrowed eyes. Put it up on the big screen, instructed Ironwood. Nodding, the soldier struck the keys in front of him, showing the transmission on the large screen. Upon seeing the transmission, Ironwood's eyes narrowed. Damn it, growled the general. Evening, General, spoke a happy, but distinctly male voice. What do you want, White Fang? Questioned Ironwood, glaring at the screen as a masked man appeared on screen. Hey now, I wouldn't be so rude if you want to see this pretty little lady ever again, said the faunus as the screen panned to the side, showing a tied up and roughed up Winter, her head down, her clothes ripped, her hair messy and splattered with blood, and several guns pointed at her head and blades held to her throat. Winter, muttered the general, shocked, never seeing his subordinate in such a shape. That's right now, Ironwood, if you ever, and I mean ever, want to see her alive again, you will release all of our brethren in your prisons, said the man with a smirk, causing the general of the Atlesian military to growl. Oh, and don't even think about trying to rescue her. We're holding her in a place you will never find her, and should you try to rescue her she will be dead before you can learn her location. You have 24 hours to comply or we will start sending you bits of Madame Shni here, said the faunus man before the signal vanished. Please tell me you managed to trace the call? Questioned Ironwood, looking down at the soldier, only for the man to wince and shake his head. Sorry, General, said the soldier. Damn it, growled Ironwood, slamming his hands on a table behind him. So when's the start of the rescue op? Questioned a voice, making Ironwood look up at Naruto. There isn't a plan for one. You heard them, Naruto. Before we could even find her she would already be dead, declared Ironwood. I'm actually insulted, Ironwood, declared Naruto, making the man look at him confused. How long have I been here? Questioned Naruto. A month, replied Ironwood, confused where the assassin was going with this. How many missions have you given me? Asked Naruto, asking as if he didn't actually know. 63, spoke Ironwood, still confused. And how many of those missions have I failed? Quizzed Naruto, making Ironwood's eyes widen. Give the word and Winter is back here in 6 hours and that branch of the White Fang is wiped from the face of Remnant, declared Naruto. You're sure you can do it? Questioned Ironwood. Please, General, don't insult me, said Naruto. Ironwood growled. Go wipe those faunus out and bring Winter back alive, ordered Ironwood. With pleasure, General, declared Naruto as he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Several hours later, Naruto stood on the side of a mountain looking down below him. You'd think they'd be a little more subtle, muttered Naruto, looking down at the 10 armed guards standing at the opening of a cave with White Fang banners hung around it. Naruto, using chakra, walked down the mountain and into the cave hanging on the roof. Spreading out his senses, he made a mental note of the positions of all of the White Fang members. Once he knew Winter was safe, he would systematically begin to wipe out the members of the terrorist organization. Moving swiftly, Naruto found that the cave opened into a huge area, most likely dug out for the purpose of hiding a base there. Naruto cut the chakra from his feet, dropping from the ceiling and landing on the ground with a soft thud. Sensing no one around, Naruto quickly moved towards where he could feel Winter's aura signature. Naruto, using all of the stealth skills that allowed a 7-year-old to outrun and hide from Anbu of Konoha, quickly drew closer and closer to the structure that Winter was held in. However, as he drew closer, he felt two White Fang aura signatures go inside the building, both of them male. I don't like where this is going, thought Naruto to himself as he pulled his staff off his back. Another location in the cave. Naruto appeared in a swirl of leaves where his clone had dispelled. Looking down, Naruto saw his personal target flanked by two more quickly walking along a road. The man who had made the ransom call to Ironwood had a wide broadsword with no guard strapped to his back, while the other two had simple swords and pistols strapped to their belts. Naruto stepped off of the edge of the roof, his two blades in hand pointed down. Dropping down, Naruto's blades sunk into the flesh of the guards' necks, killing them instantly, making the main man stop and turn. What the hell? Questioned the man as he saw Naruto standing there with his blades embedded into the necks of his guards. Naruto simply looked up at the man pulling his blades out of the dead men. The White Fang leader had to pull out his weapon as Naruto charged forwards with a sideways slice to the man's abdomen, which he quickly blocked. What are you attacking me for? Growled the man, only for Naruto to once more lunge forwards as he took notice of the weapon at the man's side, Winter's weapon. The White Fang dodged to the side as Naruto jabbed at him before he pulled his broadsword apart into two single-edged blades to block Naruto, as he slashed constantly at the man. You hurt my friend, your men almost raped her, I'm going to kill you, growled Naruto as he slammed both of his blades against the man's weapons. You're with Atlas, spoke the faunus with a growl as he pushed Naruto back. You damn bastard, growled the White Fang member as his blades flipped back in the middle and the hilt turned at 90 degrees, forming handles as the blades transitioned into guns. Naruto narrowed his eyes as the faunus began to unload 2 clips of ammo at Naruto, who, as the ammo began to fly at him, was gone in a puff of smoke and replaced with a rock. Not that the White Fang member knew that as he unloaded 2 clips of ammo into where Naruto had just been. Once his ammo was emptied, the White Fang stepped forwards to investigate the area, only for a blade to pierce his chest. Looking down, the man was horrified as blood began to pour out of the wound. Don't you worry, I have something a lot more painful in mind for you, snarled a voice from behind the impaled White Fang. He was about to ask what he meant when he was yanked back by the neck, his back bending in unnatural ways. You have several hours before you bleed out, but by the time I'm finished with you, you will want to end it all, spoke Naruto with a sinister voice as he pulled his katana out of the man's back, making him fall to the ground with a thud. Groaning, the White Fang went to push himself up, only for him to start screaming as Naruto slammed his 2 blades into the man's hands, piercing them and pinning him to the ground. You will be wishing for death in a few moments, growled Naruto as he walked over to the faunus's weapon. Naruto, called a voice. Dream End. Naruto shook his head before he looked to his left to find Blake looking at him, a mildly concerned look on her face. You okay? You spaced out on me there, said Blake. Yeah, fine, what's up? Questioned Naruto, looking at the girl, who nodded her head towards the docks. Naruto looked down and saw White Fang members there looking around as a bullhead flew over and landed on the ground. The side opened up and both Blake and Naruto were shocked. Who stepped out? Roman? Questioned Naruto, looking down at the man. You sound like you know him personally, I mean, spoke Blake looking at Naruto. I do, he's helped me on occasion. What the hell is he doing here? Questioned Naruto. More to the point, what's he doing with the White Fang? Questioned Blake. Wait, helped you? With what? He's a criminal, asked Blake looking at Naruto confused. So was I, Blake? Hell, so were you. Don't act all innocent, said Naruto, making Blake wince before looking away. You stay here, I'm going to go and talk with him, spoke Naruto, standing up. Naruto, wait, spoke Blake, reaching out to him, only for the blonde to step off the roof and fall to the ground with a thud as Blake hit on the roof. Hey, stop right there, spoke a member of the White Fang, pointing a gun at Naruto. A Roman, call of your dog, spoke Naruto with a grin as he heard the dog Faunus holding the gun at him growl. You little, spoke the man about to pull the trigger. Hey, back up, spoke Roman, walking over to the two. Well, if it isn't the Reaper of Remnant, it's been a while, buddy, spoke Roman, stepping up to Naruto. People to kill, armies to escape, kinda takes up some time, spoke Naruto with a shrug. Roman narrowed his eyes at the man. Ha, ain't that the truth? It's good to see ya, spoke Roman, stepping up and slapping Naruto's back, making Naruto grin at the man. So what you up to? Questioned Roman, looking to Naruto. Not much, just trying to stay out of authorities' eyes. What about you? Asked Naruto, looking at Roman. Can't you see? The White Fang and I have embarked on a fledgling criminal adventure, spoke Roman. Yeah man, that I can see, but why? Questioned Naruto, looking at Roman with a confused look on his face. I don't know, said Roman, getting a confused look from Naruto. How can you not know? Questioned Naruto. The woman I'm working for hasn't told me much, said Roman. She must have told you something. I mean, you're stealing enough dust to arm a battalion right here, said Naruto. All I know is something big is coming and it will rear its ugly head during the vital festival, said Roman, making Naruto momentarily narrow his eyes. Roman, my friend, I am sorry about this, but I'm fairly sure we are on opposite sides in this, and I intend to win, said Naruto before ripping his mother's katana out of the sheath on his waist and pointing the weapon at the orange-haired career criminal. Naruto stirred from his sleep, cracking his neck as he went to sit up, only to find he couldn't. Sigh, Winter, muttered Naruto looking down at the woman next to him. It had been almost a week since he rescued the Shnee from the White Fang, and the only people she was talking to were him and Ironwood. However, she had taken to sleeping with Naruto, not that he minded all that much. Looking over at the clock, Naruto saw the time was 6 a.m, the usual time the two were supposed to be up, so turning to face Winter, Naruto once more found himself sighing. Winter, time to wake up, said Naruto, gently nudging the woman who groaned before pulling herself closer to Naruto. Once more the blonde sighed. Come on, Winter, time to get up, we have work to do, said Naruto, trying to gently get out of her grip. No, don't leave me, spoke Winter, still apparently asleep as her eyes began to water. Naruto, for the fourth time in less than 5 minutes, sighed, reaching over and gently wiping away the woman's tears before gently rubbing her cheek. Winter nuzzled into the hand before her eyes cracked open. Morning, Naruto, spoke Winter, sitting up rubbing her eyes. Naruto turned away from the woman, who despite the recent situation had been sleeping nude and was unintentionally showing Naruto her well-developed chest. Morning, Winter, spoke Naruto, still looking away from the white-haired woman. Why are you looking? Oh, sorry, spoke Winter before she quickly pulled the sheet over herself before poking Naruto's shoulder, making him turn back around to face her. You are going to have to start sleeping on your own, Winter, said Naruto with a serious look. I know, I just get so scared sleeping alone, and you make me feel safe, said Winter with a small smile. I shouldn't, Winter, I'm as close as they come to a monster, and that's not just because I'm a grim faunus, said Naruto. You're not a monster, you saved me. A monster wouldn't do that, spoke Winter sadly looking down. I was doing what I was ordered to, Winter, and you need to start sleeping alone, speaking with everyone else, and training again, otherwise people will always have to protect you, said Naruto. I wouldn't mind if it was you always protecting me, muttered Winter looking down and away from him. Well, unfortunately for you, I'm not always going to be around either. It's only a matter of time until Ironwood no longer needs me around, or someone else will pay more for my skills, said Naruto. Winter's eyes went wide in fright. No, please don't go, begged Winter, reaching out and grabbing Naruto by the wrist, making the blonde look back at the woman's pleading face. This is just hero worship, Winter. In a week or two you'll be back to being indifferent to me, said Naruto looking away from the woman. Extracting his hand from her grasp, Naruto moved to the bathroom to change. Winter, however, pulled back and sat leaning against the headboard of Naruto's bed, the sheet covering her assets, as she thought about what Naruto had said. Is this all just hero worship? Questioned Winter, looking at the door Naruto had disappeared through. Or am I noticing things I was too blind to notice before? I mean, he is handsome, I have always begrudgingly admitted that, even with that mask and those ears, and I swear he has more power in his little finger than anyone else has in their whole body, thought Winter, her face flushing, and her heart beginning to beat faster. He's so mysterious too, and yet he's so warm and comforting. I've never slept better than I have in his arms. And he's so kind and caring, not once while I've been sleeping with him has he asked for anything in return. Most of the other pigs around here would want sex, and he hasn't so much as asked for a dust crystal from me, thought Winter, looking up as Naruto stepped out of the bathroom clad in his normal clothes. He looked at her concerned, seeing her, having not moved from her position in his bed. Are you okay, Winter? Questioned Naruto looking at the woman. I'm sorry, Naruto, you're wrong. I don't know how I didn't notice before, but I have fallen for you, thought Winter, completely missing his question to her. The blonde stepped in closer to Winter. Hey, Winter, spoke Naruto, trying to snap the woman out of whatever trance she was in. Winter just looked at him with a blush on her face. Naruto gently placed his hand against her forehead, snapping her out of her trance, making her look directly into his eyes, or at least as best she could with his mask. Your temperature is fine, are you okay, Winter? Questioned Naruto, looking at her concerned. No, I'm not, you idiot, thought Winter before nodding to the blonde. I'm fine, Naruto, declared Winter with a smile. Okay, well, it's time to get up. Ironwood is expecting us shortly, said Naruto. I know, I'll be there, said Winter, giving Naruto a shooing motion. The blonde nodded, getting off his bed and walking out of the room, leaving Winter alone in Naruto's room. Oh, that was too close, sighed Winter, thinking about how close they were, and the sight of Naruto's lips so close to her own. One move and she would have been kissing him. No, bad, Winter, calm down, you've just worked out you love him, start with that, thought Winter as she moved to get out of bed. Present time. Naruto's eyes fluttered open as he heard the sound of chirping outside his window. Luckily, the chirping had failed to rouse his sleeping companion. Glynda still slept peacefully in his arms. Naruto scratched the side of his head as he cast a glance over at the clock. It showed 7, meaning he and Glynda still had about an hour before either of them had to be up. With that thought, Naruto gently pulled Glynda closer to him. Morning, Naruto, she sleepily muttered. Oh, sorry, did I wake you? Questioned Naruto, looking at the woman. No, I've been awake for a few minutes, said Glynda. Naruto nodded before he planted a kiss on her cheek. So are you going to tell me why you and Team rwby were out so late last night? Questioned Glynda, not even turning to face him. Well, flashback. Naruto stood with his blade at Roman's throat. Whoa, we can talk about this, said Roman, looking nervously at Naruto. Not this time, Roman, I am sorry about this, I truly am, but you will get in the way, and this is one fight I can't have that, said Naruto, lunging forwards at Roman, only for his mother's unmodified katana to be intercepted by the dog Faunus. Naruto then looked around, seeing the other Faunus quickly begun to surround him. You all have 5 seconds to back away or I will kill you all, declared Naruto. Really, there's 20 of us and only one of you, spoke one of the faunus. 4, spoke Naruto. Ugh, so scary, spoke another faunus sarcastically. 3, declared Naruto. These idiots have no idea who they're messing with despite the fact that I said his name not 2 minutes ago, thought Roman quickly moving to a nearby bullhead. 2, said Naruto. I should help him, muttered Blake standing up and quickly dropping from the roof ready to help Naruto. 1, growled Naruto. And like that I'm gone, spoke Roman stepping onto the nearby bullhead. 0, snarled Naruto, and in the blink of an eye his free hand was engulfed in smoke revealing. A Deathstalker stinger? Questioned one of the White Fang members before Naruto quickly crushed the item, or at least he seemed to, as the formerly golden spiked teardrop's shape dissolved into black smoke that quickly wrapped around him before solidifying around his tailbone. Before whatever it was could fully form, Naruto dashed forwards, his free hand now sparking with the sound of thousands of birds chirping. Naruto quickly brought his blade up and just as quickly down on the White Fang member in front of him, and in one hit Naruto's sword sliced clean through the man's aura and skin, leaving a 3-inch deep cut that went from the man's shoulder to his hip. Unfortunately for the other members of the White Fang, Naruto was far from done. The second terrorist fell as quickly as the first as Naruto kicked off the ground to the opposite side of the circle, running his Chidori-coated hand through the unlucky faunus's chest, making him gurgle up blood before he fell from Naruto's arm. Naruto spun just in time to block a downward sword strike from a third White Fang, and before they could even blink something pierced their chest. However, it was neither Naruto's sword nor his hand. And monster, spoke one White Fang backing away from Naruto. I have been called that, yes, spoke Naruto turning to face the speaker as he pulled his tail back, making the now dead White Fang fall off the Deathstalker tail. Just then the sound of a gunshot rang out. In an instant Naruto's form was clouded by a purple aura which blocked the bullet. Naruto slowly turned his head towards the now terrified White Fang before an insane grin took a hold of Naruto's face, and the purple aura formed into a ribcage around Naruto, shocking all of those looking on as the ribcage then sprouted a pair of arms quickly followed by a horned skull. One of the hands quickly reached out and grabbed the shaking White Fang before he could run away, quickly bringing the faunus in front of himself. Naruto watched on as the woman was quite literally snapped in half. Before Naruto could do anything else, he dropped to one knee, his hand over the left side of his mask. Damn it, this still uses too much chakra, muttered Naruto, looking around at the rest of the White Fang, some of whom were already running away. Naruto quickly stood up and turned around. Katan Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire-style Fireball Jutsu, called Naruto, launching a fireball about twice his size off towards 2 running White Fang. The fire hit the first faunus, engulfing them in flames, incinerating them alive. The fireball then exploded, sending flames scattering everywhere, quickly engulfing the second faunus, who had no hope as the flames grew around her, burning her ashes to ashes. Naruto quickly stabbed his mother's blade into the ground, only to pull on of his folded bladed tonfa off his belt. The blade sprung out just in time for Naruto to deflect yet another strike from one of the braver members. His blade now knocked away. Naruto quickly reached forwards, grabbing the faunus by the neck, only to then violently snap the man's neck. As Naruto dropped the lifeless corpse to the ground, he quickly pulled out a yellow dust crystal. Naruto threw the crystal up into the air so it hung above 3 White Fang, and with expert aim Naruto aimed down the side of his bladed tonfa and squeezed the trigger. The bullet flew through the air before it hit and shattered the crystal, making it explode in a shower of sparks. These sparks rained down on the 3 faunus, making them spasm as they stopped dead in their tracks, and more sparks flooded their bodies. Naruto turned to see a bullhead flying above them and was just about to attack the device when his head started to pound. Not now, thought Naruto with a groan as he dropped to one knee as his aura began to fluctuate. Naruto, yelled Blake as she ran towards him. Stay back, called Naruto, holding his hand up to her indicating for her to stop, which she did. Naruto fell forwards groaning in pain as his aura went wild. However, Naruto could feel that something this time was different than the previous times. As the pain began to get worse and worse, Naruto managed to push himself to his knees again. The remaining White Fang members, seeing their opponent was down, decided to dash in and try and kill him. Naruto pushed himself from his knees to his feet, all the while the pain from the fluctuations growing worse and worse. The blonde stood wobbly on his feet. However, just as the 10 remaining White Fang were about to strike, they were all thrown back courtesy of an aura explosion centering on Naruto. Screamed Naruto in pain as yet another aura fluctuation occurred. However, this time once more the aura exploded out of the blonde. However, instead of an uncontrolled blast, the aura flowed out of Naruto's back and formed golden chains. As the aura fluctuation died down, Naruto fell forwards. Catching himself before he could hit the ground, Naruto looked back over his shoulder to see chains. My sense aura and chakra in them, of course, coming here and absorbing her soul has made Kachan's chains a secondary semblance, thought Naruto looking at the chains. Well, let's test these out, muttered Naruto, pointing his hand at the bullhead that had been menacingly flying at him. As he did, a golden chain shot out of his hand, flying forwards, and before the pilot of the bullhead could react, the chain had pierced the underside of the air vehicle, and before anything else could happen, the bullhead exploded. I'm getting out of here, declared one of the White Fang that still lived. Sorry you all chose to stay when I gave you the chance to leave. Your lives are now forfeit, declared Naruto, turning to the man whose eyes went wide before he turned and ran. Quickly, he won't be able to catch all of us, yelled the White Fang. Oh, won't I? Questioned Naruto as he formed his favorite single hand sign across with his index and middle fingers on both hands. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, called Naruto as 10 copies of himself formed and quickly begun to give chase to the remaining white Fang. Naruto looked up at the bullhead Roman had climbed into, narrowing his eyes. Roman, you are my enemy. You and I both know what that means for you, muttered Naruto as he dropped to one knee. Naruto, exclaimed 3 voices, one of whom was Blake, the other 2 being Ruby and Penny. I'm fine, you 3, muttered Naruto as he turned and flopped down onto his back. I just need a minute, someone contact Weiss and Yang, we're done here, declared Naruto. Ruby quickly moved away from the rest of them to contact her sister and her partner. Flashback end. So you and Team RWBY were investigating the dust store robberies and the white Fang? Questioned Glynda, turning in Naruto's arms to face him, getting a nod from the younger blonde. You know that was stupid, right? You all could have been hurt, spoke Glynda in a worried tone. That's part of the reason I went. They were going no matter what, but if I went with them I would be able to minimize any damage to anyone, said Naruto. Glynda sighed. Still, muttered the woman, only for Naruto planted a kiss on her lips. Thank you for caring about me, spoke Naruto with a smile, pulling back from her. But I am a ninja. I have been trained to take on people much stronger than those members of the White Fang. The only one who might give me trouble is the leader, declared Naruto dead seriously. Glynda just sighed with a smile before pulling herself closer to Naruto. That arrogance is going to bite you in the ass someday, spoke Glynda with a sigh. Naruto just smiled and kissed her cheek. And on that day you'll be right beside me, ready to back me up, declared Naruto with a grin, making Glynda smile and grin too. The room fell into a comfortable silence for a moment. So you said something about the aura fluctuations and chains? Questioned Glynda, breaking the silence, looking up at Naruto, who nodded. My mother was known for her unique ability to form solid chains from her chakra, with her soul and some of her chakra sealed in me. I think when I came to this world her soul, like Naruto's and Sasuke's, merged and created me, and that ability became my own. However, it was locked away behind the seal Jiraiya undid, and by him undoing the seal it released that latent ability which my body, which now has chakra and aura, tried to work into a form I could use. Thus the aura fluctuations, trying to create the chains out of pure aura. At least that's what I think was going on, muttered Naruto with a contemplative look on his face. I don't care what the explanation is, just as long as you're not having the fluctuations anymore, said Glynda, resting her head on his chest, making him look down at her with a raised eyebrow. I was terrified when I found you like that, Naruto. I thought you were having a heart attack or something. I thought I was going to lose you, and that terrified me. I spoke Glynda, tears forming in her eyes. Hey, I'm not going anywhere, I promise, said Naruto, using his thumbs to wipe away Glynda's tears. The woman smiled up at Naruto before burying her face in his chest, hugging him tightly. Naruto just smiled a small smile and squeezed the woman reassuringly. I just realized something, muttered Naruto, making Glynda look up at him. What? Questioned the woman. I have yet to take you on a proper date, said Naruto. Glynda blinked and quickly scanned through her memory. No, you haven't, said Glynda. Well, I'm going to have to remedy that. Tonight, 7, wear something fancy, said Naruto, getting a raised eyebrow before a nod from Glynda as Naruto quickly created a clone that vanished in a swirl of leaves. What if banished Naruto finds inheritance in Ruby? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.